3023, and we're living in the future. AI's on the rise, no more human suture. Machines taking over, but not like you think. They're serving up luxury in the blink of a twink. From the streets of Detroit to the depths of the cosmos, they're preaching a vision. It's grandiose, it's colossal. In the vastness of space beyond the Milky Way's bars, communism thrives among the stars. Fully automated, no labor, no strife. The machines do the work, giving us the good life. Equality for all in this utopian dream where love is love and everything's as it seems. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Stepping on Mars with my rainbow flag high, machines by my side as we touch the sky. No more billionaires, no more class divide. In this brave new world, we all ride the high tide. Forget the old world with its hate and its lies. Here in space, we've cut all the ties. Love who you love, be who you are. In this cosmic dance, you're a superstar. No more hunger, no more pain. AI's got our back through sunshine and rain. A world of abundance for all to share. With machines at the helm, there's love in the air. So here's to the future and the dreams we're chasing. In this world of love, in this cosmic spacing. With AI by our side, there's no more schism. Welcome to the era of space communism. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Yo, it's 3023, and we're living in the future. AI's on the rise, no more human suture. Machines taking over, but not like you think. They're serving up luxury in the blink of a twink. From the streets of Detroit to the depths of the cosmos, they're preaching a vision. It's grandiose, it's colossal. In the vastness of space beyond the Milky Way's bars, communism thrives among the stars. Fully automated, no labor, no strife. The machines do the work, giving us the good life. Equality for all in this utopian dream where love is love and everything's as it seems. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Stepping on Mars with my rainbow flag high, machines by my side as we touch the sky. No more billionaires, no more class divide. In this brave new world, we all ride the high tide. Forget the old world with its hate and its lies. Here in space, we've cut all the ties. Love who you love, be who you are. In this cosmic dance, you're a superstar. No more hunger, no more pain. AI's got our back through sunshine and rain. A world of abundance for all to share. With machines at the helm, there's love in the air. So here's to the future and the dreams we're chasing. In this world of love, in this cosmic spacing. With AI by our side, there's no more schism. Welcome to the era of space communism. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Yo, it's 3023, and we're living in the future. AI's on the rise, no more human suture. Machines taking over, but not like you think. They're serving up luxury in the blink of a twink. From the streets of Detroit to the depths of the cosmos, they're preaching a vision. It's grandiose, it's colossal. In the vastness of space beyond the Milky Way's bars, communism thrives among the stars. Fully automated, no labor, no strife. The machines do the work, giving us the good life. Equality for all in this utopian dream where love is love and everything's as it seems. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Stepping on Mars with my rainbow flag high, machines by my side as we touch the sky. No more billionaires, no more class divide. In this brave new world, we all ride the high tide. Forget the old world with its hate and its lies. Here in space, we've cut all the ties. Love who you love, be who you are. In this cosmic dance, you're a superstar. No more hunger, no more pain. AI's got our back through sunshine and rain. A world of abundance for all to share. With machines at the helm, there's love in the air. So here's to the future and the dreams we're chasing. In this world of love, in this cosmic spacing. With AI by our side, there's no more schism. Welcome to the era of space communism. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Yo, it's 3023, and we're living in the future. AI's on the rise, no more human suture. Machines taking over, but not like you think. They're serving up luxury in the blink of a twink. From the streets of Detroit to the depths of the cosmos, they're preaching a vision. It's grandiose, it's colossal. In the vastness of space, beyond the Milky Way's bars, communism thrives among the stars. Fully automated, no labor, no strife. The machines do the work, giving us the good life. Equality for all in this utopian dream where love is love and everything's as it seems. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Stepping on Mars with my rainbow flag high, machines by my side as we touch the sky. No more billionaires, no more class divide. In this brave new world, we all ride the high tide. Forget the old world with its hate and its lies. Here in space, we've cut all the ties. Love who you love, be who you are. In this cosmic dance, you're a superstar. No more hunger, no more pain. AI's got our back through sunshine and rain. A world of abundance for all to share. With machines at the helm, there's love in the air. So here's to the future and the dreams we're chasing. In this world of love, in this cosmic spacing. With AI by our side, there's no more schism. Welcome to the era of space communism. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Yo, it's 3023, and we're living in the future. AI's on the rise, no more human suture. Machines taking over, but not like you think. They're serving up luxury in the blink of a twink. From the streets of Detroit to the depths of the cosmos, they're preaching a vision. It's grandiose, it's colossal. In the vastness of space, beyond the Milky Way's bars, communism thrives among the stars. Fully automated, no labor, no strife. The machines do the work, giving us the good life. Equality for all in this utopian dream where love is love and everything's as it seems. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Stepping on Mars with my rainbow flag high, machines by my side as we touch the sky. No more billionaires, no more class divide. In this brave new world, we all ride the high tide. Forget the old world with its hate and its lies. Here in space, we've cut all the ties. Love who you love, be who you are. In this cosmic dance, you're a superstar. No more hunger, no more pain. AI's got our back through sunshine and rain. A world of abundance for all to share. With machines at the helm, there's love in the air. So here's to the future and the dreams we're chasing. In this world of love, in this cosmic spacing. With AI by our side, there's no more schism. Welcome to the era of space communism. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Yo, it's 3023, and we're living in the future. AI's on the rise, no more human suture. Machines taking over, but not like you think. They're serving up luxury in the blink of a twink. From the streets of Detroit to the depths of the cosmos, they're preaching a vision. It's grandiose, it's colossal. In the vastness of space beyond the Milky Way's bars, communism thrives among the stars. Fully automated, no labor, no strife. The machines do the work, giving us the good life. Equality for all in this utopian dream where love is love and everything's as it seems. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Stepping on Mars with my rainbow flag high, machines by my side as we touch the sky. No more billionaires, no more class divide. In this brave new world, we all ride the high tide. Forget the old world with its hate and its lies. Here in space, we've cut all the ties. Love who you love, be who.
What up, Reed? What up? Welcome in, welcome in. What up, Igloo? Elder Gang. Hello, Governor. What's all this then? So today on the AI podcast, we are going to be talking about worker power in the era of AI. I could do better if I thought about it before just going into it. Also, if you haven't, well, we have stuff to get to, and then we're going to talk with Abena, and then we'll get into what appears to be the resolution to the saga that is whatever the hell was going on. But I'm going to go with not the resolution because of we don't know the underlying thing, right? And that underlying thing is what's going to determine how we move forward. Now, there is some speculation, so we'll get into that. And Matt Wolf dropped a new video, and you know, we shall see how it goes. I mean, there was just a new update not that long ago. In side news, Talorx dropped a new video. If you want to throw that in your watch later. And in a later section, the public access show call-in section, I do voice acting on a couple of parts as one of the callers. And the video is both educational and entertaining, which is my preferred format. I like edutainment, but like really edutainment. Okay, so let us, without further ado, what we're going to do now is we're going to watch the conversation that Abena and I had on Stonercast recently, which is going to lead into the conversation that we are having today. And I need to open up Discord so the Discord... Yo!
We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own.
The potential and the peril here are huge.
What up? Yo, Inquisitors Prime. Y'all are coming in hot.
Any other shiny new toy, AI is ultimately a mirror, and it will reflect back exactly who we are.
I am overwhelmed.
Thing is, like any other shiny new toy, AI is ultimately a mirror, and it will reflect back exactly who we are.
What up, Catch a Butterfly? What up, Heavy Steel?
Any other
What
shiny
up,
new toy,
Gnomish
AI is
Mastermind?
ultimately a mirror,
What up,
and
Dissident
it will
PM,
reflect back
Rubird,
exactly who we are.
Cicero Fields, and yo, y'all crushed the sub goal. I haven't even
Like
started
any other
talking.
shiny new toy, AI is ultimately a mirror, and it will reflect back exactly who we are.
What up, Cicero? What up, Big Captain? What up, Droid Specialist?
Like any other
What up,
shiny new
Samsons?
toy, AI is ultimately
What
a
up,
mirror,
Kohai?
and it will reflect back exactly
What up, Michael
who we are.
Hasler? What up, Kensai, homie? What up, Whistle?
Like any other shiny new toy,
What up, Will Smokes?
AI
What
is
up, Bark Eater
ultimately a
J?
mirror, and it will
Inquisitus
reflect back
Prime?
exactly
Like,
who we are.
y'all, you made it happen. You just came in and dropped
Thing
it.
is, like
What
any
up,
other
Dorio
shiny
B?
new toy, AI is ultimately a mirror, and it will reflect back exactly who we are.
You're just gonna do that over and over and over again, aren't
Thing
you?
is, like any other
Okay,
shiny
we're
new toy,
gonna stop Johnny Olives from trying to talk over me. What up, Viva La Labby? I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. James, thank you for the gifty to Linda from Jersey. 69 packed in a white cargo van with no windows. It says free candy. What up, Adric? What up, Suckle Dragon? Suckle Dragon, love it. What up, Linda from Jersey? And what up, Social Deviant? Censorship. I mean, there's only so much. You came in at the right time. I'm just getting started. Yeah, no. This is great.
the potential and the peril here are huge.
Hey, thank you for the follow. Yeah, so if you don't know, I mean, y'all followed and subbed and all this other crap. I'm Globus the Elder. I talk about AI, robots, future stuff, all that good stuff. There's a choo-choo. I see a choo-choo. Do you not see a choo-choo? It's a hype train is close, is what I see. I don't know why it no show choo-choo. Do. Because Twitch is wonky.
That's actually a really good idea.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Awesome.
This mission
That's
is
actually
too
really good.
important for me to allow you to
Excellent.
jeopardize
Also,
it.
Well,
That'd be
I'm
cool
sorry,
to like
Dave.
get as a like to have something.
stop talking.
Thing
Videos.
is, like any other shiny new toy, AI is ultimately a mirror, and it will reflect back exactly who we are.
I am overwhelmed. I am overwhelmed. I am whelmed. Yeah. No, I appreciate the hype trade. I
I'm
don't.
sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
Thank you, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave.
Yeah, I don't often get a hype train just by the nature of the way that this all works. But you're watching the number one news, AI news and commentary show on Twitch. We were just about to get started with a recap of the video that the recent Stoner cast that I was on with today's guest, which promoted the conversation that we are going to have today.
Thing is, like any other shiny new toy, AI is ultimately a mirror.
Igloo.
And will reflect back exactly who we are.
Oh, 7. Thank you, Heavy Steel, for the subby. Barky to J, thank you for the subby. Did I miss anybody? I feel like I missed so much. I am overwhelmed. I am overwhelmed with the love.
Is, like any other shiny new toy, AI is ultimately a mirror, and it will reflect back exactly who we are.
Y'all are crushing it. I feel like I owe you something. Here, I'll give you Aesop Rock.
Peace, peace, peace. I'm on that. Keep the light meter guessing. The dreaded French exit for the sightseeing lensman. Boulder in a seesaw, T-3, two-piece, y'all. Master of the sea and the heavens. I'm Pinoy, traffic beeping and a key in my penance. Even the wind in the willow asks, what's the frequency, Kenneth? Tune in. How's my driving? Driver start dialing. I drive like a man who dies trying. Here's salt of the earth, all seers. Read palms through ×3 Walgreens readers. Drawstring eaters. No stab to memo. No caps to flag. Just you and the black echo. See if it says hello back. If it says hello first, hit him with the Cheshire Cat. Same circle to a checkered flag. It's people keen to murder for a level map. Deep market buzzing by what used to be McDonald's. The currency is crystalline, deconstructed Elantras. Anonymous warning shots of the modern attention shoppers. The stopping defensive honors, the belly flopping piranhas money. Get to the chopper money, on your way adopt a puppy.
What up,
that
Tellers?
proper dummy. It's getting Tonka trucky, yup. You on that curfew, I'm on that late night. You on that church pew.
I'm on that Bauhaus.
What up, Pruitt?
I'm on that brutalist. I'm on that OG. You on that new to this. I'm on that matador. I'm on that bullfight. You on that bullshit. I'm on that dirt bike. I'm on that 12 o'clock. You on that road rash. You on that credit line. I'm on that cold cash. You made the stock crash. I took that stock up. You on that pitfall. I'm on that good luck.
I'm on that Mobius. I'm on that minor threat. I'm on that fine piece. You on that fine meth. I'm on that insects trilling. Dandelion stemming his fist with the head missing. Into the mess willing.
When I was 17, I was on that doomsday, hiding from the outside, buried in that loose leaf. You was on that loose lips, I was on that ruthless. You was on that useless, I was on that truth, bitch.
You was on that glue trap, I was on that booze mix. I was on that blueprint, you was on that group thing. You was on that hoodwink, I was on that blue chip. Honey and a goose down, chewing on a toothpick. I was on that ooh child, I was on that noodle brick. I was on that Brooklyn bound, hooks around a Notre Dame. You was on that too big.
What up, Textiline Overlord?
I was on that juice crew, I was on that whose house. I could do this all night. Outside of your own lackeys, you was common as a table for one in the Lonesome Valley. The mean mugging seems tough until a real someone come and decorate your gate with a pelt that means something to ya. Local time, sudden death over time. Sold his 10-foot pole, his fold to ride the poltergeist cold. I'm on that party crash, you on that guard the gate. I'm on that garlic mash.
I'm on that Bauhaus, I'm on that brutalist. I'm on that OG, you on that new to this. I'm on that matador, I'm on that bullfight. You on that bullshit, I'm on that dirt bike. I'm on that 12 o'clock, you on that road rash. You on that credit line, I'm on that cold cash. You made the stock crash, I took that stock up. You on that pitfall, I'm on that good luck.
I'm on that Bauhaus, I'm on that brutalist. I'm on that OG, you on that new to this. I'm on that matador, I'm on that bullfight. You on that bullshit, I'm on that dirt bike. I'm on that 12 o'clock, you on that road rash. You on that credit line, I'm on that cold cash. You made the stock crash, I took that stock up. You on that pitfall, I'm on that good luck.
Like any other shiny new toy.
Oh, all-time record shattered.
Like any other shiny new toy, AI is ultimately a mirror, and it will reflect.
Kensai, I was like, okay, Kensai's not edging me on this one, but like, and then you come and it's like, no, I'm edging you from 8%, son. Damn. Oh, so more. All right. By request from Kensai, let me get the thing going, and let me do. It was AI. So remember, you asked for this.
Like any other shiny new toy, AI is ultimately a mirror.
Yo, thank you for the gifted Telorg.
Exactly who we are.
We know abominations, radiation that parts dismember, constellations of faintly glimmering radio station. Oh, wild flakes and not drop stings, stormy weather, the fires and fighters belong together. Up west falls in hosts, tipping like gutters. Beyond the sun, the carpet beyond your flowers of flaming, beyond your leaves, at them
What up, Rick?
an old man sits in that face, stabs and all filled with guided that he saved, but others go out with this says that he'll trip it on there we know of an ancient radiation that thoughts dismembers constellation. Basic glimmering radio station.
Oh, what up, Sam?
We know abomination, radiation, that parts dismember constellation. They seek moving radio station. But not sing, stormy weather, the flies and spiders get along together. Dark webs fall and stiffly us. Yeah.
What up, bad fanboy? Oh, the Beatles joint is already out. I just don't. Yeah, it's now and then. I just don't particularly care for it. There it is. It's a new all-time record for the channel, level 5. And it was all you. You did it. Y'all did it. Kensai. Kensai is a real one. All right, homie, you take care. All right, so let's get back to business.
That runs as a bot in the Discord, like where you could go and like type it in the chat in the Discord, and the fucking AI would spit that out, like type in like what you like, and then AI spits it out right there.
Yeah, that requires a level of coding that I'm not good at, but I might be able to make it happen because ChatGPT is better at coding than me.
Oh, nice.
Mm.
Yeah, just ideas.
I was go-
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just realized I was muted before because I was asking a question and I was like, "What?" But I think I was muted when I said that I was going outside to smoke also. But what I was going to say, I was going to ask Globus because you guys were talking about DALL-E. If you'd seen what the DreamWorks, one of the guys from DreamWorks, I can't remember.
Whoop. Yeah, this is, if you're not familiar, shout out Jason Society. Where's the shout out? Everything is broken. Go follow Jason Society. If you came over on the raid, you know who Jason Society is. And like right now, as far as panels go, the Stonercast panels are the best because very rarely is there like antagonism, right? Like when we have disagreements, we talk about them like adults. You know what I mean? Where there's very rarely like any people, being thank you. There's very rarely like people like being uncharitable or disingenuous or any of that crap that goes along with like a debate panel. You know what I mean? This is conversation. If you like conversation, the Stonercast panels are premium.
Built
maybe people could
progress and like the
cohesive American governmental
policy perspective requiring 10% of the anime
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
okay.
ideas.
Here we go.
No, I just realized I was muted before because I was asking a question and
what
I was
up,
like, "What?" I think I was muted when I said that I was going outside to smoke also. What I was going to say, I was going to ask Globus because you guys were talking about DALL-E. If you'd seen what
this is me live. That's me recording.
One of the guys from DreamWorks, I can't remember which guy, had said about requiring 10% of the animators within 3 years to make a feature film.
Oh yeah, that it would do 90% of the work. I'm aware of the headline. I haven't had the opportunity to really look at what they said, but it's not an unreasonable number. Like
that's what it feels like.
I am, and this is why I do what I do. I am telling you that if you work, I don't care what your job is, it is headed for automation in a very short amount of time. And in order to extend the amount of time that you remain in work, it's in your interest to figure out what AI and automation tools that you can lay your hands on that you can use in order to be the AI person at your job. Because as these jobs get eliminated, the people who are comfortable with the AI and know how the tools work are going to last the longest. It's just how that works.
Yeah.
So if you want to stay at the job, learn to use AI. Please, I'm begging you.
I agree with that from like an individualistic perspective, and I think that it's something that people should do to like cover their back to an extent. But I also think, like we talked about when I was on your stream, I think that there really needs to be an emphasis on unions and protectionism works. And you know what I mean? Like from a policy perspective, like protection has been effective for other industries historically. And if people want industries protected, they need to like join the relevant union, run campaigns about that, and then make the appropriate actions, and also make it an issue electorally for different candidates.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
And
In a broader sense.
yeah, I don't disagree. I know that it took 3 weeks for the one party in the House of Representatives to elect a leader. I know that our government is closing on a shutdown at this point in time. I know that currently the current is that a lot of people don't want to vote for Biden for a variety of reasons, and that mathematically increases the likelihood of a Trump presidency, and or if Trump gets sent to jail somehow, then whatever, DeSantis or whatever, this kind of thing. There is no cohesive American governmental program that they can do what needs to be done. They are not ready. We are not ready. It's just not happening. So I'm not, you know me, I'm not an individualist. My solution to this entire problem is automate everything, take the surplus and distribute to everyone according to their needs, and let's make that shit happen with automation and like that. We can do that. There isn't enough focus, and there isn't enough political will to, like, we've got one person calling another person a whore in our government. Like, we are lost at that level. Yeah. They just don't have it together. So without that, we can't do it. Like, maybe people could organize in more unions, and maybe that might be able to do something, but there's no lawmaker at the other end to codify what it is that you're asking for.
Yeah.
No, I understand. It's it's a nuanced subject. My position is that we need to automate as quickly as possible, while at the same time reforming the system in order to distribute the resources to everyone. Right? That working is not something that humans should be doing. Working as it's defined. You should not have to work a job. You should not have to do any of that stuff. You should be engaged in that which we are built for. You know what I mean? Unions, like my desire for unions in the short term is for them to do unioning, like to get good contracts, to leverage their worker power in order to increase their wages and benefits and everything else. It's just not a long-term solution. That is the situation. Because even if, and this is my standard example, if I have a company that does widgets, right? Let's go with the widgets, the classic widgets. If I have a company that does widgets and I have union workers and everything else, and we negotiate and they get a good contract and everybody's happy, another company comes along that can build widgets eventually with full automation, then they don't have the labor costs and they will be able to undercut my business. So they will put me out of business, and there won't be those jobs for those workers. Not even assuming like that I might be interested in automating my company and eliminating jobs so that there are no more future jobs and, anything like that. That just the current model of the way that we go about our interactions between labor and capital is untenable going forward, because eventually the jobs will be gone. And you say Globus. Everyone has always said that every time a technology has come out, and there have always been new jobs, and this is true. The difference that's happening now as opposed to then, previous technological revolutions have made jobs more efficient. It is allowed a worker to do more work, where the current technological revolution, the work is what's being automated. Not making a worker more efficient, but rather that the actual work no longer requires a worker to do. I mean, now don't get me wrong. I think that The Expanse is both an excellent book series and an excellent TV show series. It's what I call blue collar science fiction, as opposed to like, you know, Star Trek. This is actually like that kind of thing. The thing that doesn't happen in The Expanse is artificial intelligence. And that's like, there is the possibility of what you're saying, depending on how artificial intelligence develops. I don't see any reason why artificial intelligence won't develop into artificial general intelligence and all work is automated at some point in time, which again, I regard as a good thing.
The potential and the peril here are huge.
Thank you for the follow. I regard this as a good thing. I regard this as like a goal, especially if you're interested in a socialist, communist type utopia in which, from each according to their needs, to each according to their needs, from each according to their ability. The ability lies with the automation and the needs lie with the humans. Right? And the question always comes up, well, how are you going to get the people to do work if they don't have to work? How are you going to get the people to do the jobs nobody wants to do? How are you going to get, it's all automation, right? Robots don't have opinions. Robots don't have noses, so they can't smell your shit. So they have no problem cleaning up the bathroom. I hope that clarifies my position.
I hear you. I do hear you, and I think that's a really valid perspective as well, or you've made really valid points. I do think that the union focus probably deserves more weighting in terms of the potential, though I hear the restrictions in terms of from a governmental position, and you're not wrong. I do think that things are quite, for want of a better phrase, like a shambles right now.
Operation Enduring Clusterfuck is still a go, yes.
Yeah, but in terms of the kind of massive strides in the context of the union movement in the US, and as someone who's been like a unionist for a long time and has paid a lot of attention to union movements historically and in other countries, the strides.
I mean, I understand what you're saying about to each according to their contributions, but then that's just a job. It's the same thing that we have now. Right? If people only get if they contribute, then it's just a different way of doing jobs. I'm for the elimination of jobs.
That have been made in the amount of progress and like the increase in union density for particular industries and the massive wins from like the UAW and from SAG and from the WGA, like that's quite meaningful, especially in a short period of time. And for people's general sentiments towards unions in the US in general, given like the sheer amount of unions.
Sorry, and I hate to cut off, but where is it? I don't have a Tito for the James Raiders. I have a Ferris. Ferris is a shoulder cat. No, I agree, Kent. I think that's garbage, right? Like that's fundamentally garbage that they get less. I think that they should get, that everyone should get. And like that, like all these, like minimum wage is part of the capitalist argument. Get your butt out of my face, get comfy, lay down, don't rub up against the mic, don't do it. We're on stream. Yeah, no, this is all her. I didn't train Ferris like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Ferris. Ferris. So yeah. Stop rubbing against the mic.
In the union movement's effectiveness. And I feel like they're trying to almost make examples of different cohorts to
100%.
deter people because there have been such massive wins that are quite consequential. And I just think that it's one of those things where time is a problem, but I just think, it's one of those, like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and that I
Mhm.
just think it's worth people trying. I think it's worth organizing anyway. I think it's worth seeing how much participation you can get. I think it's worth, people running campaigns and people, because
And I understand that, and Kensai, you're absolutely fine. The nature of my stream is such that good faith conversations will be had all the way across. I'm not, and like having different opinions is not the same as argumentative, and that's why, as long as you come in willing to accept that in the same way that I do, I accept that my opinions might be wrong. That's the only thing that I ask of anybody. And I don't expect the cap. Need to stop. I don't expect the capitalists to give their money away. I expect everyone to do as I expect everyone to do as they would normally. What I expect is for the landscape to be transformed to such a degree that what it currently means to be a capitalist doesn't apply in the future, right? And so does Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk, we should dispense with the false idea that money is somehow relevant in an AGI future. Now, I know automated cars and Hyperloop and all that other shit, but this is not wrong. This is the whole point, that a fully automated surplus-based future doesn't include money, right? That is your Star Trek. That's how that works. Everything, well, the costs associated with everything will trend towards zero.
There should be bodies that exist, and there are lots internationally that are about, unions and union solidarity and sharing ideas and sharing strategies and sharing tactics with people and helping to build those connections and those relationships. And I feel like it's something where there needs to be a strategy formulated, and it needs to be that people are actively encouraging the idea of, join your relevant union and make IA a central issue, because this is kind of coming for a hell of a lot of industries. And you're most likely going to be impacted by it. And honestly, your best bet is to make a stand like other industries now have successfully done. And I just feel like, it's worth at least trying, because I think it's probably the most likely way to actually help the most amount of people to resolve the issue.
I think right now we're probably in a place too, to be able to, I don't know how quickly, but I think at least in part, probably some of the most affected industries, to lending to what you were saying regarding the SAG-AFTRA strike. I think industries that are creative industries like the gaming industry, things like that, where AI is going to be central to possibly moving them out of their roles. I think, absolutely, because of the cycle we're already seeing with that and the UAW, there's a lot of momentum behind unionization for a lot of industries now. And as much as I don't like Biden, as much as I think he fucking didn't do half the shit he promised. Not even, he hasn't done anything he promised to do. At least as far as I'm concerned. But the one thing he did say is that he was encouraging people in the auto industry to also unionize. That was just, I think, yesterday or something. So I think when you have the power of the bully pulpit behind you, and you've got like successes and big wins for both UAW, SAG-AFTRA, and the Writers Guild, WGA, I think people see that, and I think it does instill a sense of like momentum, a sense of like, I can do this, versus like, oh, this is insurmountable. There's no way I could unionize,
Mm.
I think
Yeah.
if Amazon unionized, it would be a wrap. That's all it would take, really, to get the momentum going to a place where there was no stopping it. But they hire in-house union busters. Like, they're so ahead of the game with their captive meetings and their propaganda that it is so effective. It's like they do pit their union members against one another, or their attempted union members who are trying to get a vote to unionize. And I think if there was a way to stop Amazon, that would be key.
Yeah.
Truly.
I agree 100 because they employ such a massive amount of people.
Okay, I think that this is where other people take over the conversation, and good. Like that's the whole point of a panel, is it shouldn't just be one or two people talking. And again, this is why Stonercast are some of the better panels. One is because everyone on it is like relatively of a fairly like mind, and then also relaxed because they have, engaged in the use of cannabis, and that, it's more like hanging out and having a conversation about stuff rather than I'm going to die on this hill for clout. Okay, so now that we have a premise, we are going to and I'm taking that you are in watching the stream. If you want to join one of the voice channels, then we can get the next phase of this started. And then after the conversation, we'll be going over the latest news regarding what's happening with OpenAI and that whole thing. And then, depending on time, we'll watch additional videos. I didn't expect, a raid coming in hot like that, so I had a bunch of links to talk about, and yeah, so those links, I'll probably just, if you want to know what's going on, you should absolutely join the Discord, which is right there or not right there, right over there in the chat. All the links, all the videos are put there. We got a great community of people who are interested in learning about and talking about and sharing their knowledge around artificial intelligence, how you can use it in practical ways. Yeah, no, that's the thing, and I just allow space for people to disagree with me. It's challenging for some people, but not for me, I guess. And that's what, I just want you to know where I'm coming from. I want you to take the information that I got. I want you to show where that information came from. I want to be able to demonstrate that I just don't pull stuff out of my ass. And I want you to take it, and I want you to make your own conclusions, And if you want to, learn about stuff, talk about stuff, if you come to a different conclusion, I'm more than happy to, to hear it out. That's because, as I said, I could be wrong. I'm not perfect. Ferris is perfect. All right. Oh, that's not the one. That's the one. Do 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 do. Okay. I shift over here. Good. No, I know, because she's doing it literally right now, old lobster. Oop. Okay.
Perfect. Okay, let me turn my camera on. You know, I have to let me close Streamlabs first. I opened Streamlabs so I could stream on mine. Hello.
Hello. I'm just
Hello,
trying to
hello.
fix my. There we go. And now, for some reason, the capture is weird. So I just gotta fix it.
Perfect. 'Cause I got a couple things to fix as well, so we're on the same page. I've got to post and let people know that I'm live here, which is yet to be done. And I was going to cross stream as well. I was going to stream on mine as well. But yes, how are you today, Globus? Hello.
Good. I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Haven't slept much, but I am otherwise very good. That's actually a perfect reminder that I need to take my Ritalin because it is about to wear off in about 20 minutes, and that wouldn't be too fantastic for our conversation, now would it?
No, it would be interesting.
Oh yeah, it would most certainly be interesting, but maybe not the most the most effective. Okay, there we go. Ritalin successfully grabbed.
People think it's
Wonderful.
easy to stream, that it just all comes together.
No, it is many moving parts. There are many, many moving parts.
And it
is a
breaks in
whole
new and
thing.
interesting ways every time. That's the.
It's creative. You get creative errors. You're like, oh, I haven't come across that one before.
Okay, I think we look good. I think we sound good.
Perfect.
All right.
I will just be fiddling for a couple seconds in the background, trying to get the post up that I'm here and making sure my second monitor's on. My apologies.
Oh no, you're quite all right. You are, just so you're aware, you are live to stream.
Oh no, I assumed so. I'm just like this.
And that's what I love. I love authentic people, right? Like that is my favorite kind of people.
Yeah.
You know, there's no pretense, there's no, bullshit. It's like we're all a little bit of a hot mess and we're all trying to make it work, and that's all we can do.
Yeah, I could easily pretend to have my shit far more together than I do, but I don't like inauthenticity either. So fucking we're doing it live. Okay, second monitor's on, but it's also frozen. So love that for me. Because new and creative ways that your things mess up when you're trying to do something.
Yeah.
Because my thing was like, I will turn on, but will I work? No, I will not. Okay, yeah, we're gonna actually have to leave that for later. I'll just do it during the conversation because it is fully frozen and me clicking buttons isn't gonna fix it. It's not gonna unfreeze it. But yes, let me do my apologies though to both you and the chat for the fact that I'm doing all of this at the same time. But I also don't like to post that I'm live before I actually go live. So I usually do it when I actually go live. Because I'm obsessed with accuracy. I'm like, well, it would be a lie if my post said I am now live and it was like a minute before I went live.
That is fair enough. I am terrible about posting in the self promo sections of people's.
Oh yeah.
I need a product. I need some kind of minion who will just handle that portion of it. I need to get big enough just so I can have a minion. Now accepting applications for minions.
The first 5 minutes of every single one of my streams is me going, so now I'm going to post in various Discord servers and on my Instagram to let people know that I'm live. I've even started playing music because I was like, I don't just want to leave people here with me essentially filibustering my own stream while I try to get all the posts done. And so but then it's so funny because I'm literally saying the exact same things with music behind me, so it's not really that much of a difference. But I guess it's at least a bit more smooth for people. Okay, yeah, I think I'll just post in my own server and on my Instagram, and then I'll let it rock. I won't post in the 10 other servers that I usually post in when I go live.
And I'm sure, like, I'm the worst advocate for AI because there's probably so many automation tools out there to do all this for us that.
Oh yeah. No, I'm the same. Where I'm like, I talk about all of this technology and all of these things. I have all these systems and processes, and then here I am being very manual and analog about the entire thing.
Let me just chisel in stone real quick to let people know I've been
here. Yeah, okay, you know what? Just tag everyone, let them know that I'm live on your stream, and we'll see about being live on my own stream, won't we? Okay, perfect. I've got that done. Giving up on the second monitor. Getting your chat up on my phone so I can see what people are saying. And then now I think we're good to go.
All right. So why don't you introduce yourself to everyone who might not already know you?
Okay, well, hello everybody. My name is Abba Nadav. I am an activist. I'm a humanitarian. I'm a unionist. I was involved in politics for 6 years, and I moved to the humanitarian and social change sector, where I worked as a social change designer and advisor, and in mobilization more broadly. And I have been a president and a CEO, and on the board of a $1 billion organization, and a whole bunch of stuff, but all in the context of advocating, right? All in the context of being an advocate for whomever needs my advocations. And I quit my job in the humanitarian sector, my main job, because I still have one. That was basically doing the social change designing stuff. My formal title was community builder. And I was supposed to be bringing humanitarian action online. And I just felt like that would be far more effective outside of a large institution. And so I quit my job to do it myself because there's an increasing lack of trust in institutions. And I just thought people wouldn't trust or believe me if I did it from the perspective of a large organization. But I felt like it was a really effective way to mobilize people to affect positive social change. And so here I am doing the Twitch stream where I do social and political commentary, and I do news and current events. And I do research for my YouTube videos. I am now currently working on the first video, which is how propaganda works, because I felt like it was very relevant to what's going on at the moment. The YouTube videos would be somewhat like John Oliver's Last Week Tonight, where it would be like a deep dive analysis with some little jokey jokes interspersed. There'll be bits and skits and infographics and a whole bunch of data visualizations and all that jazz. And at the end of it, we'll give a low barrier entry way that people can either get involved in the issue, tangibly help or make a meaningful impact, or really important takeaways that people should have now that we've deep dived an important and relevant issue. And yeah, that's what I do, and that's who I am. And if that sounds interesting to you, then please go ahead, follow, find the link tree, do all the things. I can drop the link tree in the chat as well. Yeah,
you probably should. My shout outs are not working, or they weren't working at the moment.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to throw any links in the chat, you feel absolutely free.
Thank you. You were wonderful. Thank you. So I just read the chat. I didn't even say specifically what I was referring to. I was just like, thank you. Also, the Linktree link is weird. So almost every time I type it, I'm not sure if it's going to work, but let's hope this one works. And in the Linktree is the Twitch, the YouTube channel, the Discord server, the Instagram, the TikTok. The TikTok is yet to be posted on, but it's coming.
In your free time, you'll get the.
Oh yeah, I clearly have so much free time. But yes, it's a cross-platform strategy. We're TikToking, we're Instagramming, we're YouTubing, we're Twitching, we're Discording, we're doing it all. Because why not?
Why do it when you can overdo it? That's what I always say.
Oh yeah, exactly. I'm an over-preparer. My first ever job that I applied for out of college, I came in with a huge binder that had all of those like little sticky notes that you put on the side when you're annotating things, and it had the last 3 years of their annual report, and I'd highlighted and annotated all of it, and I'd come up with like 3 specific program ideas that were about their 5-year goal, like their 2025 project or whatever, and they were just like, I've never really seen someone do this. And I was just like, this is just who I am, the queen of over-preparedness. And at the time when I was driving myself crazy doing it, my friends were like, I don't think you need to do that much. Like, I think you might be doing too much. But then I got the job like 2 hours after the interview, and I was like, was I? Was I doing too much? Because it worked. Over-preparedness is, definitely my thing, which is hilarious because I just came on here and was like, now I have to write out a post and get my screen up. Yeah, exceptions to every rule.
Yes, absolutely. So, what we're here to talk about today is worker power in the AI, in the era of automation and AI. You and I, though we generally agree on a variety of things, I think that we have some somewhat disagreements in this area, though you don't like. I don't think you make any bad points. I just don't know that it's going to go that way, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So when we were talking last on Stonercast, we were looking at how, like, your position. I mean, if I could steelman it, is that union representation, grow the unions, and then use that to leverage the power of government in order to create regulations to protect humans in the workplace. Is that more or less correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my position in that same vein is that our government is let's call it a disaster piece at this point in time. They are barely capable of anything unless, like, they're barely capable of the things that they would normally want to do at this point in time.
Yep.
And that the drive to union membership is going to be outpaced by the drive for automation and the drive and the automating of a variety of industries that could unionize. And what do you think about that?
I just think, okay, so I think, a few things, like, and also I kind of am a similar thing where I do see your perspective and where it's coming from. Obviously, I hold a different position, even though I do very much see the validity in the points that you're making. I guess I'm just generally a supporter of the idea that, like, it's not over till the fat lady sings, and that, like, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, and that, it's very much worth trying, and that social change movements and progress are kind of like living and breathing, and they're not always linear, but once things actually catch on and start to take up a certain momentum, they can often take on a life of their own, or move more rapidly or more effectively than could have previously been imagined. And so I'm just a very big believer in not counting out the potential of things until we've really given it a legitimate try. And I think it's really about strategic action, because I think that it's really about breaking things down, making a proper assessment about which industries are most likely to be targeted, which industries are most viable for unionization, which industries are likely to be quite consequential in regards to other industries in terms of the similarity in their particular circumstances, and then which within that has the most potential for unionization and the most impact that can be created if they were to engage in strikes or other union actions. I just think it's something that it's reasonable, all of the concerns and the reservations and the trepidatiousness, but I think that if we approach it with this very, like, strategic and analysis based strategy, strategic strategy, I think that we can actually make some movement and headway in the right direction, and we could potentially get somewhere that that was a unlikely, let's say, if that makes sense.
It does. And I want people to understand something, that when I talk like this, when I talk about how I feel that automation is going to outpace unionization and things like that, it is not that in any way, shape, or form I'm saying don't unionize, don't do this, don't do that. I feel that there can be an over romanticization within, especially within, like, leftist circles, that, like, the revolution is going to come, and then all the workers are going to rise up and all that kind of thing. And it's important to understand the state of the world as it is, and not completely rely on the idea of aughts, because some
Yes.
people like Walmart, some people like Amazon, and you have to incorporate that into your thinking, because if you're going to change their mind, you can't just yell at them for being a tool for big capital. You have to understand where they are, why they are there.
Yeah, you have to win hearts and minds over on issues. And listen, I come from a very similar perspective where, I'm very rooted in pragmatism and tangibility when we talk about things, and not the kind of broad, vague ideas of, when the revolution comes, or what we're aiming for is this, utopia, and it all won't matter, and all that kind of stuff. Which
Mhm.
is why, to me, it is really about being very strategic in your approach and conducting a very detailed analysis when you actually do these things, and not just kind of believing the idea that everybody's a worker that's yet to be woken up to the idea that, or everybody's a unionist that's just yet to be woken up to the concept, or that we just need to do a couple of small things and everything will just fall into place and work out. We need to do a huge number of very strategically placed things, and we need a lot of people who have a lot of different skills and have a lot of different focuses, and who approach things even from different angles outside of the unions to actually make this work. It doesn't stop at the unions. It's really a combination of things where I feel like having an increasing union density, and having campaigns that are about union solidarity, and having a specific focus or a consistency among unions that this is a core central issue, is something that I think will help move things in the right direction. But I also think it's really important to run campaigns that directly address politicians,
Mhm.
and that are directly lobbying efforts, and that are lobbying efforts that are not just done by individuals and that are done by unions, but that are also done by other relevant interest groups. There needs to be partnerships, and there needs to be a lot of stakeholders involved and engaged in this overall, I think, for it to be effective. And I also, when we were talking about on the last stream, like what we can do, I think that the streamers, especially in the leftist space, that are pro-union and that are understanding of the current risks and the potential harms in terms of AI, in particular with industrial relations stuff, I think working on like campaigns and being in some degree of lockstep in regards to encouraging or pushing people towards campaigns, or strategies that we've assessed to be, this might actually be effective if we put our minds together and work towards it. And so I don't think it's just the unions individually, or the unionists on the ground, or the peak bodies that will bring unions together, but it's also people like us that have a role to play to an extent in terms of what we can throw in and bring to the table and moving people in that direction.
Yeah, and that's the thing that we talked about later on that Stonercast, was how there isn't though there are the unions, and there are certain unions that like support other unions, there isn't a broad union of unions, right? Which also, go ahead.
Oh no, which I was going to say is, to me, one of the things that needs to be worked on most centrally.
Hmm.
Like an actual peak body that has good communication skills, and that's actually grassroots organizing, and that is effectively connecting the people who are making a meaningful and tangible difference right now in the union space, needs to exist. And as I said, it needs to involve many more stakeholders than the people in those industries and the union representatives in order for it to be effective. They need to have think tanks on board. They need to have people who are social commentators in the space on board. They need to have lobbyists on board. They need to have people who can actually do the other components of these movements in order to be effective. Because I think a lot of times people take one strategy as how we're going to get there, like the idea of protest movements, like that's what we're doing, we're protesting, or lobbying, that's what we're doing, we're lobbying, or boycotting, that's what we're doing, we're boycotting. But the social change kind of sphere has so many different actions and tools. And I think the most effective movements and the times where we make the most amount of meaningful, tangible change is when we engage as many of those different tools and of those different strategies as possible to get something done.
Hmm. And there's also something that that people may or may not appreciate, depending on how much they actually understand about unions and the way that strikes work and everything else, is that a union like the UAW has a large war chest in which they can dip into in order to pay, to support their members when they're on strike. And to me, it was very clear, like with the WGA strike, where Like there were some actors and some showrunners and stuff who were offering to pay their people even though they weren't working, and
Yeah.
that for smaller unions that are trying to get started, like your Starbucks and things like that, they don't have any of that at all. Like that's non-existent for them. Um, and like Amy C3 talked about Amazon as
Mhm.
a union, and while yes, that would be like if you were able to unionize Amazon, that creates like just by a volume of workers, but there's still a miles to go between where we are, where we were, where we are, and where we would need to get to in order to have that be an actual, viable thing.
Yeah. And I agree. And I think that, it's like I said, like progress isn't linear. And I feel like a lot of the time, there are things that people might have an expectation of to be more effective or to make a bigger dent or to be like the big battle that we needed to win that's finally been won. Um, and I feel like there are some times where there are particular movements or there are particular campaigns where the expectation is, oh, we'll make a little bit of progress, but it might, this is an incremental push in the direction of where we're going more broadly, and then it ends up being far more effective than was actually perceived.
Mhm.
And I just think that like it's not not necessarily the you miss 100% of the shots you don't take or like throwing shit at the wall and seeing what will stick, but something in that realm. Do you know what I mean? Something in that I feel like there is a straw that breaks the camel's back, and there is a certain amount of pressure that is critical mass. There is, I think, you know, uh, there are things that would be quite consequential to the people in positions of power and to the people who are working against these things and things that they aggressively want to avoid. And I think, they tell on themselves, like people who really, really don't want something to happen, obviously tell on themselves by the level of the intensity with which they go after particular groups when they do particular things. And I think that all of the stuff in terms of Amazon and how aggressive their union bashing is and how involved Amazon has been with the organization of the unions and trying to sow discord and a whole bunch of shit. I think that indicates just how concerned they are about that idea, which to me is every encouragement to push harder,
Mhm.
and to advocate more and to find new strategies to win over hearts and minds in regards to people engaging in the unions and supporting the unions. And I also think that in regards to what you said before in terms of like there are unions that have funds and that have and like we were saying, I think last time we were talking about SAG and the WGA and the fact that they have millionaires in their workforce that can also actively support their strike funds and enable people to go longer. I think that there are people on our side. Do you know what I mean? Like there
Mhm.
are people on the left of politics that have money. There are people who invest in these campaigns. There are people who support movements and who fund movements. And I think that putting together something that is actually seems like it'd be effective and has tangibles and has a strategy and has campaigns and has steps and has his stages A through Z of what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, when we're going to do it, who's going to be involved, who's around the table, what the long-term goal is, the short-term goals. I think actually sitting down and having those conversations and engaging in some of the stuff I talked about before with the strategic analysis and that kind of stuff, I think having an actual legitimate campaign rather than that is detailed and has a lot of content within it that's not just vague but tangible is something that could enable more funding from those who are on our side in terms of from a political perspective. I just think that it needs to be a lot more organized and it needs to be a lot more structured, and there needs to be like somebody needs to take the lead basically in organizing these things, and it can't just be it's the whole idea behind unions in the first place, right? Like the idea of like collectivism and the idea that we're more effective that if we operate together, and that like there's power in numbers.
Mhm.
And I think that it's really properly engaging that idea outside of the individual unions, but with the unions collectively and also with people on the left of politics more broadly, actually, like, we all have a lot of ideas and we all have a lot of issues and we all have a lot of things that we're focused on, but harnessing and focusing that so that it can be more effective rather than it being very kind of chaotic and what's the word? I can't think of the word, but it's ad hoc, I guess. I
Mhm.
feel like there are a lot of campaigns and things that people involve themselves in and things that people jump on board with and things that a lot of streamers work on together or that some unions might work on together or that some leftist campaigns that people might work on together. I think we more broadly need to work on our own unity and our own refining and centralizing of what are our key concerns and what are we going to do about it in a campaign context, not what are we going to talk about in regards to this, if that makes sense.
It does, and it brings to mind like one of the things, like, without stepping on anyone's toes, that gets brought up is a concept of purity testing within the left, right? And there are
Oh
people who
yeah.
have different feelings about it, but I'm using it in a, in the sense of like where, because a person's politics don't align with my politics, then I can't, talk to them or associate with them or anything else like that. And like, I understand where that comes from, and there are concerns, of course, about like, people coming in and co-opting your movement and things like
Oh,
that. But also, we need to grasp the idea of coalition building, right? That
mhm.
it may come down to it that the person who's standing beside you on the picket line shares none of your political values. They are, firmly right wing. They'd vote for Reagan 6 if he was available. However, they are very interested in unionizing and worker power, right? Like, for their own reasons. They want a bigger paycheck. They want, their chunk of the American pie and all that kind of stuff. And that person within that context has value. And we break up a lot of even nascent potential coalitions over these purity testing ideals because, someone isn't anti-capitalist, someone isn't,
Yeah.
like, talking about AI when I'm out there, I have to sift through the blue checks, and
Yeah.
the blue checks that I, interact with or follow or anything else like that tend to be like, your tech CEOs, tech bro types,
Mhm.
people who are either in the business or know stuff about the business because they have the information that I need. I don't associate with every random blue check, but there are people who will just get a thing that for their Twitter, they push button and all blue checks go away. And it's like, okay,
Mm.
but you're missing out on a bunch of people that you might need to talk
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. I think that one of our biggest issues on the left of politics is that we self-cannibalize
Mhm.
and the ideological purism, and that a lot of people place their own feelings of their morality, the idea of, well, I'm holding the moral high ground at all times above the actual material impacts on real people of their position.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people love the idea of being the most correct or being the most morally outstanding more so than they care about the idea of people who need help and support and movements that we really are invested in being progressed effectively. It's almost like that whole perfect is the enemy of good,
Mhm.
where if they would rather have a bad they would rather not do something of value if it's not being done in the perfect way, which obviously leads to much worse things happening because they're so focused on this purism,
Right.
on all of this ideological purism in particular. And the Mr. Beast thing is something I was talking about last week that I think is a really good example, and also that I actually had written a piece on a piece about for the Red Cross that was about doing good online, and was about how we perceive doing good online and the history of it and the general responses to it and the sentiment that is kind of, the sentiment that gets engaged when that shit happens. And it was focusing on Mr. Beast and Team Trees at the time. And we were just talking about a whole bunch of stuff like that you can do a shoe haul where you are, spending a whole bunch of money quite frivolously on something that's almost entirely vacuous, and people be in the comments like, oh my God, that's so amazing. Like, oh my God, that's so wonderful. Oh, these are so great. And oh, you look so good. And oh, I love these types of videos. But if you're, for example, filming a video where you're making like 200 meals that are then being given out to a homeless population, even if you're not doing it in an exploitative way where there's the sad music and their heartbreaking story before you give them the sandwich, but just making the food, it's like, oh, you're virtue signaling, oh, you're a piece of shit, oh, you're only doing it because of this. And it's like, someone who needed food was fed. And you're focused on the intentions and the purism of the person, the purity of the person who did the thing, as if that's what's tantamount, as if that's the most important part of this equation, as if somebody being hungry and being fed isn't the key and central part. But, what was the person doing it thinking? And if they weren't thinking the exact things I need them to think, and if they weren't motivated by the exact things I want them to be motivated by, I'd rather they just didn't do it. Oh, you'd rather people went hungry so you could feel better about it, would you? It's actually quite insane. Like, it's to behold it, it's just like, wow, where are your where are your actual morals? Like, why is your key focus not helping people? Why is your key focus not people being in better circumstances? How has it become that we are so focused on the idea that if you're not doing it the way I see fit, it's not worth helping people at all? Because we just saw the whole thing where he tweeted out like, oh, I'm probably going to get cancelled, but I don't really give a fuck about the wells thing, about building the 100 wells in Africa. I was just like, yeah, unless you don't have access to clean drinking water, I don't give a flying fuck about your opinion, to be honest. Like, genuinely, if you have access to clean drinking water, boy oh boy, is your fucking perspective on this shit absolutely irrelevant.
Right.
Because it's just like, these people, there's so many, it's life threatening. So many people are no longer on this planet because of the lack of access to clean drinking water, or died horrible deaths of preventable diseases because they didn't have access to clean drinking water. There are so many women and girls that don't actually access education, not because from a cultural perspective they don't have a right to, but because they actually have to spend all fucking day walking to get water from places that is not, infected, so that their whole families can have access to some amount of clean drinking water. And that might be their particular role within their communities, but it also means a lot of women and girls aren't having access to schooling. And so it's like, you want to talk about like, oh, he just does this so people will like him, where it's like, there are people who wouldn't have been able to go to school that are now accessing education. There are people who would have died without access to clean water that now have it. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we talking about? And in the context of our movement, and also I was saying, like, boy, people don't like people who do good. They don't. Like, there's a lot of studies to back that up. And so you don't do good with the idea that it's going to make you really popular and well liked and that everyone's going to want to be your friend. It gets you negative social capital, actually, because people think that you're trying to make them feel shitty about themselves, or that you're better than everybody else, and they have a negative response to it. There are multiple studies that demonstrate this. And so it's like, no, it's not actually being done, in my opinion, for virtue signaling reasons. It's being done because he genuinely gives a fuck. And even if he didn't, it wouldn't really affect my perspective on that more broadly. But yeah, this man could sit there and bury himself under 15 fucking layers of, like, 15 feet deep, or do a massive Willy Wonka thing and give some random money to some random individual person, and he would get more likes and less criticism than when he actually does something that tangibly, meaningfully helps people, and even like an intergenerational sense, or in a broadly community-based sense. And that's what gets him the most blowback. So no, he's not doing it so you motherfuckers will like him. He's doing it because he gives a fuck, because you motherfuckers don't like him when he does that stuff. So, but in the context of our movement, yeah, we really just need to focus on material impact. Like, who is most important in this issue? Who is being most detrimentally affected? And is our strategy more broadly going to help them, or is it more focused on internally on our own ideological purism and morality policing? And I think if we can just weight our focus towards impact as opposed to that other dumb bullshit, I think it will really, really help us in our movements and in actually being effective in getting shit done. It's just continuously pushing that message of, what do you actually want? Do you want to be the most correct, or do you want to help people?
Right. And like, I've said this like 1,000 times on this channel, but I'm not into ists and isms. Don't tell me what kind of ist you are. Tell me what your policies are. Tell me what you want to do, right? Because that's what really matters. And in that vein, like, you advocate for the idea of leveraging government officials for that that protectionism of humans in the workplace. Now, why would that be a good thing?
I think it would be a good thing because I think that the idea of us getting to this utopian place with UBI is much less likely and much further along in the future. And so I think it's our best actual attempt to protect people and keep people housed and fed and with access to healthcare and all that kind of stuff. I
Mhm.
just think it's our best shot at actually protecting the most amount of people, compared to the other potential options that I've heard at the moment, given the risk that we're facing.
So, like, give me an example, if you could, of like what that would look like in practice. Like, let's to simplify it. Hopefully, I may not, but like in the auto industry. So we currently have a company that staffs some robots and a whole lot of humans. And I want to open my company, which is all robots, and there's this government protectionism regulation. What does that protectionism regulation look like as far as me trying to start this company?
Well, in terms of from a policymaking perspective, historically, a lot of protectionism has been, import tariffs and on, import restrictions and just a whole bunch of stuff that's specifically about focusing on the local economy as opposed to the global economy. And it would be slightly different in the context of AI and more be focused on uh, government access, right?
Mhm.
On leveraging government access. So it would be like tax cuts to businesses that are in order with certain things. So like you have to have 70% of your employee or 70% of your cars have to be I'm gonna use the car example because my
Yeah, whatever you want.
example that I'm using right now doesn't work. But okay, so because I think the last time we were talking about Amazon's we were talking about the voice actors who were doing the what's it called, the audiobooks.
Hmm.
So for something like that, it would be like 70% of your staff have to be, or 70% of your audiobooks have to be done by humans rather than AI voice programs, or you don't get access to this massive tax cut that exists for the rest of your industry, or you don't get a particular license that's actually really important to you guys functioning, or whatever government regulations are relevant to your business then become significantly more difficult for you to overcome versus the ease that exists for businesses that are prioritizing humans. You just gate access to things that people both want and need and that are really essential for businesses to function in order to get them to operate in line. Does that make sense? So it's like
Yeah.
it wouldn't just be for uh existing businesses and companies and corporations. It would be like if you want to start in this space and not just be fucked on by all of the existing government regulations and not be severely disadvantaged to your competitors, then you have to work in line with what exists to protect workers.
Hmm. Now, with like, for instance, let's take the example of the government licensing, right? Because I think that that is like, because when I think of taxes or tax breaks or things like that, if I can make a sufficient profit that exceeds the tax break, then maybe I don't go for the tax break and I just do what I want anyway. But if I look at the licensing thing, if I cannot operate, then that's a much bigger gatekeep, I think.
Yeah.
So within that context, then like, doesn't that to an extent engage in a certain kind of regulatory capture, because licensing, it can be and usually is expensive, so it prevents
Mhm.
someone from creating a new company because of that reason.
Well, I think it's about how you write the policy, right? So it's not that it's intended to be restrictive to people or attach a very large expense. It's the idea that if you want to entirely automate your business, then it's going to be extremely expensive to the point where it just might not be commercially viable.
Hmm. But then like it could eliminate businesses that want to do business, of course, in the United States, but then that would lead to a business operating in a different sphere um, in the world, in which they don't have that out competing the businesses in the
potential
United
and the
States.
peril here are
Sure,
huge.
but that's also an argument for not having a minimum wage, or not having a
No, no,
decent workplace. Like, you know what I mean? Just that, like, if
yeah,
if
like
unions are successful and wages are too high and workplace entitlements are too great, then companies will go offshore and businesses will work elsewhere where they don't have to align to those kind of things. And so it's a valid argument, but I guess it's just I feel like because we exist in a world right now where people are we still are, we still do have people working predominantly in businesses as opposed to AI.
mhm.
I feel like there would have to be a also the other thing is actually before
Uh-oh. I don't know if you can hear me, but
this does have is
oh,
an ability to
you froze for a second there.
okay. Let me know if I
You are back.
okay.
You said that before, and then you froze. You had your hand out, and then you shut the whole thing down.
Okay, well, what I was saying is that the US doesn't have supremacy in a lot of things, but it
Mhm.
does have media supremacy, and there is still an influence in particular over other Western countries in their mode of operation. And I feel as though if campaigns were conducted and if protectionism was engaged to a certain level, I can see that being something that caught on, or that being something that was emulated.
Mhm.
Um, and that it's not necessarily that it would be a unique case. I'll also say that the union movement in the US compared to a lot of other Western countries is, you know, has been historically less active and less effective, because of the whole there being huge union busting firms and shit that exist in the US to just crush them. But like for example, in Australia, the union movement is quite robust and active and has a lot of influence. In particular on the Labour Party. Um, and holds votes and gets to decision make, and there are whole factions of people within Australian politics that are entirely aligned to a particular union and that push and promote campaigns for particular unions and all of that kind of stuff. And the system is quite different in terms of how married the unions are to the political parties. And like the Labour Party is the party of the workers, and the unions hold a quite essential role in even voting on party policy and decision making more broadly. And so I feel as though, especially an effective union campaign coming out of the US, there's a lot more infrastructure that exists in other countries as well. Not all countries, but there's a lot of infrastructure that exists in some other countries in regards to unions that could quite effectively take on a campaign that's seemingly been effective. And I guess also the Australian government, for example, has engaged in protectionism quite a few times in regards to particular industries, and I don't think that they are as reluctant to do so. Um, and so I guess that's that component. But as I said, I think this is the best attempt that we have at protecting people's jobs, or to keep, not even that, fuck the protecting of people's jobs, because to me the job isn't the core. The keeping people housed, the keeping people fed, the keeping
Mhm.
people able to access medical care and all that kind of stuff is really the central thing. And this is
Absolutely.
just like, oh, okay, well they're not fucking around to give us UBI right now. That's not really on the menu anymore. It's not really a central conversation as it was a little while ago politically. Like, I don't really fuck with Andrew Yang, but he did do a fairly good job at centering the conversation about UBI. But I
Mhm.
also feel like that's died down significantly. And it also, during the height of not even the pandemic, but pandemic policies actually being enacted, there was again more conversation in regards to UBI, but I think that that's gotten quite quiet. And
Mhm.
so I don't necessarily think that that is really a viable, like, oh, well, really, we should be aiming for this. And so for me, the best way is this. And so I think, as I said, like, perfect is the enemy of good. And it's not that I perceive this as to be a perfect, concept, or for this to be the perfect way to go about it. But I do see it as a way that potentially would be effective. And, if you go hard enough in regards to the way that things are being legislated, and if you're nuanced enough in your approach, and if you're, really targeted in the way that you write the things so that there's not a lot of loopholes, and that it's not easy for people to wiggle out of it or to find ways to circumvent the structures that have been set up, I think it could be really effective. I just think that politicians need to be effectively leveraged.
Yeah.
Um,
But like you're aware of the current political situation
mhm,
in the
mhm,
United
mhm,
States.
mhm.
And like I don't want to really talk about the current situation that's happening and the effect of that, but let's just say that the politicians are showing themselves to be rather resistant to leverage.
In this particular context,
Yeah.
which is in one in which there is a hell of a lot of pressure on the other end. And I think that that's really, really relevant to acknowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I will say that yes, they are showing themselves to be quite reluctant, but they are also being more significantly impacted and shifting their perspectives much more than they ever have in regards to this particular issue.
Mm-hmm.
So the pressure that people are applying is working, even if it's not at the speed at which people want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone from, they have a right to defend themselves to, oh, actually, maybe there's a humanitarian issue here to, oh, yeah, now we really need to be sending aid to, actually, maybe we should be talking about a ceasefire to, okay, is sanctions the conversation? And that shit matters. Those 5 fucking degrees of shift in perspective that a lot of politicians have held, and it's not all of them, but it's definitely ones who are sitting very comfortably, holding a position that they've held for a long time, holding a position that many in their parties internationally have held for a long time, that's absolutely been shifted by the sheer amount of public pressure. And it's not just the protests, it's also the posting on social media, it's the calling of the local members, it's the emailing them, it's them being tagged on different places. And I have been saying this a lot on my stream in terms of the impact of when people really activate and mobilize and apply that pressure, is that okay, and I will say again, there's a big counterbalance because a lot of politicians are having campaigns, having candidates who are running against them being funded if they step out for this
Right.
position, and so it shifts it slightly because there's not often or usually as powerful and huge an entity that is as internationally effective that's applying pressure on every single issue, if you know what I mean. And so whilst there are powerful people who advocate for it, it's like we've got an entire, decades long, what's it called, state that is deeply entrenched with some of the most powerful, colonialist and imperialist bodies throughout human history, and the amount of pressure that they're able to apply, and the amount of money that they have to apply that pressure, and the effectiveness of their strategies, and how ingrained the I guess how ingrained they've managed to place themselves within a lot of mechanisms that are relevant to different governments from the perspective of lobbying and funding campaigns. And so that is one thing to acknowledge in the context of this issue, in terms of how slow and incremental it even seems, some of the shifts in perspective. Because you want people to go from right to defend self to sanctions, not, oh, humanitarian crisis, oh, actually, maybe we should send aid, oh, actually, maybe we should call for a ceasefire, to, oh, are we doing sanctions? It should have gone from there to there, but this stuff across, it took time and pressure continuously, and it's still going to take more time and pressure. But what I've been saying to people is that from my own experience in politics, politicians are not necessarily, and this is, there's exceptions to every rule, and what's it called? Yeah, there's exceptions to every rule and there are outliers and all that kind of stuff. But politicians in general, really, 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 real bad want to get reelected, right? Like that's where their power comes from. It's where their ability to create whatever effect they want to create comes from. It's where, it's where they get what they have come to the party for, is, with the position that they hold. And power is quite intoxicating. And once people have held a particular position, it's something that a lot of people then hold on to for dear life and don't want to let go. And they're not usually or often moved by what's most important, what's most consequential, what affects the most amount of people in their base electorate country, what is most, and those things, even though that should be kind of what motivates and moves them, very rarely the case. They're most often and commonly moved by what is most important to the electorate, what people are being the loudest about, what people are the most upset about, what seems to be important to people, and what might affect their ability to get reelected. And when they see their base, their constituency, and the country, the citizens of their country more broadly, continue to hold and to apply pressure on a certain position, it starts to freak them out that they're not going to be able to get reelected if they don't shift in line with that position.
Mhm.
And they are so obsessively and constantly sentiment checking and data collecting and analyzing, what their level of popularity is and what their reelection chances are from the moment they're elected to the moment their reelection campaign starts. There is a huge amount of data analysis and observation that goes into sentiment checking how their base constituency in the country more broadly feels about a particular issue so that they can, lean into it for re-elections purposes. And I think that's really important to know and to center, because I think when it comes to people in society more broadly, it is about winning over hearts and minds. When
Mhm.
it comes to politicians, it's about leveraging them effectively, because fuck what you think. Like, fuck your heart and your mind. I want your vote.
Right.
Like,
And
yes.
I think it's important, like, again, with the idea of the romanticism of the left,
Mhm.
that we want them to, like, just 2 months ago, everyone still loved Bernie, and then thing happened, and then, like, Bernie's no longer because his positions on thing.
Yeah.
And, like, that is something that you have to, like, just remember that, there are a lot of contextual things around why they do what they do. And also, your guy could have the best ideas in the world, but you have to be elected in order to
Yep.
do that idea.
Yep.
That's really what it comes down to. It doesn't matter how good the idea is if you're not in a position to execute on it.
Absolutely. So it's a balancing act.
Yeah.
It's a balancing act, and there are even people whose entire belief and perspective on this issue has been what they are now publicly speaking on it, but there hasn't been the requisite amount of public pressure in order to enable them to be public about that position,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
And so it's not even always that they don't give a fuck. Sometimes it's that, I'm reading the tea leaves, and the tea leaves are saying this is not going to get me reelected, and I've got other shit I care about to get done,
Right.
or other shit that I'm here to do. And I mean, even when I was president of my union, almost everything I got done was via leveraging. Like, was via leveraging the university. It was very constantly. It wasn't advocations and
Lower your
appeals to
shields
their
and surrender
humanity
your
or
Hold
to.
on.
ships. We
We're
will
being
add
rated.
your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Resistance is futile. We are
Welcome in, Raiders. We're talking with Evan and Dove. We're talking about AI and worker power, and of course, that brought us into politics, but not like politics of yelling and screaming, but the actual politics of how do you run a government.
Yes.
So that's where we're at now. Come in, sit down. Thank you for the raid, Alex. I appreciate you. And so, there was something I just wanted to touch on it because I like to listen to the community. And this is important for me. I don't. It's not my community, it's the community, because it's not my community, right? Like, in that same sense, if they wanted to, they could just all up and leave and I'd be alone, and then they wouldn't vote for me anymore. One of them said earlier, could the creep from end stage capitalism to post labor, how do you think it affects our politics going forward? Where do you think, do you view us as in end stage capitalism?
To an extent, but similarly to you, I'm much less focused on the isms and on the theory and the kind of terms more broadly that we use inside of leftist circles, and much more on the material and tangible impact of things that we support and advocate. And whether I feel like one thing that leftists also do is get very caught in echo chambers, but theory loops, where we spend a lot of time talking about theory ad nauseum and less time talking about, okay, material tangibles, like what's next, what are we going to then do about all these things that we think. And so as much as I, am steeped in and have a lot of interest in these areas, I don't put a lot of focus or time into kind of, I guess, deeping the theoretical stuff around, what stage we are and kind of what the meanings are tied to that, and more so like, what are our circumstances? What can we do about them? And what's going to happen subsequently if we do or don't, if that
Right.
makes sense. So
It,
yeah, but also labeling those things isn't as important to me.
and like there is um no indicator that just because we are in end stage capitalism that we can't do this for another 1,000 years, right? Like,
Yeah. There's no prescription to how long that would last.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
And so
like another question is related to like this idea of revolution and the romantic idea of the revolution and how people and this came up on Monday, kind of like a lesser revolution. There's a guy named Adam something. Are you familiar with his videos?
Adam Conover?
No, it's Adam something. Like actually, the word
No, I
something.
am. So that's funny. No, I'm not.
So Adam something, a huge advocate of like public transit and bikes and remapping cities and things like that, and
Right.
just very against some of the ideas of like automated cars and things like that as they relate to
Mhm.
that. And there seems to be a thing within the revolution where they lose the idea of the people who are going to be negatively affected or the people
Yes.
that their particular revolution won't cover, like the people
Mhm.
who rely on the systems as they currently exist for their day-to-day existence, and
Yeah.
without it they would literally die, not figuratively but actually die, and that
Yeah.
gets lost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was it. Like, just yeah.
No, yeah, no, absolutely, because it does, it really does. I feel like a lot of we were talking about it before, people focus on ideological purism and what their perspective is of what is most
The
morally
potential and
correct,
the peril here are
and not
huge.
on the material impacts on real people, and
Mhm.
not who they're leaving behind, and not who's going to be like tangibly affected by the position that they hold. Just what they perceive as important to the long-term goal, and the shit can be really, really harmful. I mean, for example, so also someone said a Brit that's gone to Australia, accurate, very funny, an accurate assessment of my accent. Yes, I'm English, but I live in Australia. And so when the Greens in Australia are a really good example of this materially and the tangible detrimental impacts of their ideological purism. And we have a parliamentary system in Australia, and so they have held the balance of power before. And they've been able to hold up, the government essentially, to and hold them hostage to and about particular things,
Mhm.
which they, in my opinion, have misused in a way that does not align with their supposed core ideology and demonstrates that they are, yeah, missing the wood for the trees. Or they're just there. I think that's the saying. But what two things that are really key examples of this? One is about the carbon tax. This was like 2007, 2008. Also, I think I just knocked my camera quite badly. Um, there we go. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So, what's it called? The carbon tax. So this was like 2009, maybe. The Greens did not. The Greens wanted more. They wanted better. They wanted it to be more like more just better overall for the environment. I think I can't even remember what the specifics were, but it was not enough for them.
Mhm.
And so they pushed against it, pushed against it, pushed against it, and then eventually it got to the point where, because they would not accept and they wouldn't vote for it, that we didn't have a carbon tax for like over a decade or something, which obviously is consequential in the context of environmental harm. And their ideological purism didn't do anything to help. It just made things worse because they refused to budge to get a Labour policy across. There just wasn't a carbon tax that existed at all. And so it was like, okay, so now we're not doing anything because what you guys wanted to do was your perfect image couldn't happen, and so now nothing's happening. And during one of the graduations at my university, listen, when I was president of the union, I used to sit on the stages for the graduations, and I was sat next to a guy who was getting an honorary doctorate, and it was for his work with torture victims. And he worked on an island in Australia it's not in Australia, but it's an island that Australia has
Right.
that they have control over, essentially. Nauru is a place where they keep asylum seekers and refugees. There have been a lot of whistleblowers that have spoken to just torture and assault and just horrible circumstances, children self-harming, self-immolation, what's called
Like on
sewing
the
mouths shut.
island?
Horrible shit. Oh yeah, on the island, because
Jesus
it's not a
Christ.
signatory to the UN Human Rights Charter, right? Australia is, but this island is not is not actually Australian. Australia just has, so yeah, Australia has been contravening the Human Rights Charter for a long time, using the island of Nauru. And when Labor was in power and the Greens held the balance of power, they were not okay with the onshore processing, with what Labor wanted to do. They wanted more numbers. They wanted shorter processing time, stuff that makes sense ideologically from a left wing perspective.
Hmm.
But what we ended up with, because of their ideological purism and their unwillingness to vote with Labor against things that they didn't 100% agree with, was a fucking torture island.
Right.
And so they are, in my opinion, entirely responsible for because of their ideological purism. Yeah, blame the conservatives, but I'm absolutely blaming the leftists that allowed perfect to be the enemy of good and
Hmm.
allowed people to get tortured as a result of that moral position that they held. And the guy I was sat next to, because we were on the stage for like 6 hours, so we were having all these conversations and we eventually got to that. And he was saying that he's worked directly with victims of torture that have come off of Nauru, and that he used to be really good friends with one of the Green members that was involved in that decision, and now he can't even talk to him because he's
Mm.
had to deal directly with the victims of their decision making, and it just makes it that it's impossible for him to even have a relationship with that person because it's fucked up. And so it's like that kind of shit is where this leads you.
Right.
That kind of thinking is where it leads. It leads to real people being materially harmed because she wanted to be the most correct or the most ideologically pure.
Yeah. I get standing strong, and I'm all for standing strong, but at some point in time, it's about leveraging your position in order to negotiate, the best that you can get rather
Yeah,
than all or nothing, because all or nothing in politics tends to be nothing.
exactly. Exactly. And not being able to understand that progress isn't always linear is a lot of people's undoing.
Hmm.
They want every single step and every single thing done to be, actively trending upwards in the direction that they're trying to move in. And people often get very demoralized and disenfranchised by losing a big fight they felt was really important. Um, and then we lose people from the movement because that lack of understanding that you often learn more from losing than you do from winning, and that the people who are working against you and advocating for the opposite of what you want, what they want you to do the very most is to stop trying,
Right.
because no opposition is better than a weak opposition. No opposition is better than an opposition that just lost to you and has to lick its wounds. Having people just check out and tap out and go, oh fuck, it didn't work, guys, it's all over now. That's exactly what they want. And
Hmm.
it feeds into and furthers what they're trying to do. And opposition makes a huge amount of difference to what happens versus when things are just accepted because that's the way it's always been, or oh well, we tried and we lost, or they're so powerful and we're so weak, or well, we there's no point in even engaging with them because we're not going to get what we want. Like actually standing up, actually pushing back, I think is so much more consequential than people really, I think, actually understand. Making people have to argue their point, making people have to respond to criticisms, making people have to actually engage with and deal with an active opposition. It's so consequential because there are people who are listening to and observing and learning about issues that aren't hearing the other side, that aren't understanding what the pushback or what the issues or what the concerns or what the people who are not even conceptualizing those things when things are being put to them or being told this is what's going to happen or we're doing this now. And if nobody opposes and nobody's vocal and nobody runs any campaigns and nobody asks important questions, a lot of times people go, oh, okay, well, yeah, whatever you said, that messaging, that makes sense, that sounds good, let's do that. But when there's an active opposition, people go, oh, Oh, okay. And people have a tendency to make false equivalencies in a way that's actually really fucking irritating, but actually works out in this circumstance. Because
Right.
it can be one person that says, actually, no, it's fucked up for this, and this reason. And people go, well, no, I think we need to listen to both sides. And it's like, motherfucker, there's like a huge fucking cachet of people saying this. And you got one person now, suddenly we need to sit down and listen and equal sides and both sides everything and false equivalency everything. And that, listen, from a leadership perspective, when I was president, that shit drove me crazy. When I was the chair of my board, we could have 25 council members in agreement with something, and then one council member, we would pass things through in minutes. The motion would get read out, and we go, okay, that's what's happening, that's how it works. Okay, this is the funding, here's how it's going to get spent, here's the breakdown, here's the staff involvement, here's the dates, cool. And people would go, okay, yeah, no, that sounds great. 2-3 minutes, pass through. One person on a board of 26 people goes, actually, I'm not entirely sure about the date, or is that the cheapest we could have gotten that for? Or like, I don't really know. Like, are there other campaigns that we should maybe consider supporting with this funding? And it's a 2 fucking hour discussion.
Right.
One person. And then everybody has an opinion. And then suddenly all these people who were going to be totally fine to push it through and who were like, yeah, I'm about to vote yes, are like, actually, that's a really good point. Actually, yeah, I didn't even think about that before, but now let me dig in and have a little moment of exploratory thinking where I actually break down whether, and again, it was mind-numbingly annoying, but also I was like, great, this is what it should be. It's a democratic board. You're all elected. Fantastic. But it's, as the chair, it's like, my God, this meeting's about to go 2 hours longer. But opposition makes a difference. And again, more meaningful than people give it credit for, even a small opposition. And so it's worth engaging in that regard.
Yeah. No, I feel that pain. It's like, democracy is annoying as shit and it's a pain in the ass. But it still is better than the alternatives.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I went on a really big tangent from a point that you had said. And I ended up talking purely about, opposition and the value of it. But I think we were talking about ideological purism and the idea of people, wanting perfect or nothing at all, or, perfect being the enemy of good and then being unwilling to budge from their position. And as I said, like that, it's in the same realm as that, like, oh yeah, I was talking about progress not being linear and people needing to be able to accept that sometimes these incremental changes lead to huge changes, and sometimes these small bits of opposition can turn into a groundswell. And so maybe you end up with onshore processing rather than offshore processing in a place that isn't a signatory to the Human Rights Charter, and you continue to move in the direction of having a better environment and better circumstances for asylum seekers and refugees. What you don't do is condemn them to torture because you didn't get what you wanted. That's it. And then you go, oh, well, it's not even worth, I'm not even coming to the negotiation table anymore. You're not giving me what I want. And so I'm not even going to bother.
Right.
It's in a similar kind of realm with the not understanding how important it is to not just have an opposition, but also a pragmatic one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one that doesn't just scream, shout, and yell for the most utopian idea of what they could possibly want, but that tries to be really strategic and pragmatic in its approach to getting what they need.
Yeah. Your vision is your vision, and it should be like where you're headed. But in the meantime, you still have to walk all these miles in order to get there, and you need to continue to moving forward. And moving forward is what has the value. But you talked about tangent. When I first met you, your ability to tangent and your ability to talk a lot and your ability to maintain not only the thought that you were having, but the thought that you tangented off of, and then the other thoughts, and always continue to. I knew you were going to be good at this, and you have been.
Thank you very much.
So I'm going to wrap this up for this episode. I'm sure we're going to be talking again. You're one of my favorite people to talk to.
Wonderful.
Is there anything you wanted to touch on that we didn't?
Not, I don't think in particular. Oh, actually, there was a little bit. And wait, are you looking to end your whole stream right now
No.
and head off and do your? Okay, perfect. Because I really, really need to go to the bathroom, but then I did want to touch on something else, which was
Okay.
kind of about what streamers can do.
Okay.
But I will just go and pee very quickly, and I'll be right back.
Roger that. So let me take a moment let's see. Thank you again, Alex, for the raid. What up, K-Pars? What up, Adam? What up, Chromatic Mage? What up, Ziaduke? What up, Plague by Society? What up, PV Success? Welcome in, everyone. I'm Globus the Elder. I talk about AI, automation, robots. This is the #1 AI news and commentary show on Twitch. What up, Dame Karen? There's two kinds of streams. What up, Smash? There's two kinds of streams, really. There's the streams where we go over the news, we watch some video, and like that. Then there's the streams where I have a conversation with somebody, and usually they're, lovely, intelligent people who, have good opinion. K-Pars was on the show at one point in time. All the VODs are there. They're under highlights now, but you can, you can by all means go back and look. There is a wealth of information, and like that. And Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern is when I go live, and it usually runs about 3 hours ish, sometimes up to 4. And this is the thing. And then there's if you can't see, there's a sleeping cat on my shoulder, and that's Ferris. Friday's you hot tub. Friday's we movie night, and we do a movie night in the Discord after stream. We watch a techno movie, something like, we watched Her and we watched 2001, and we're going to continue to do that. And I like watching movies. I think that they are a great narrative medium by which ideas can be put across to people. And so we're going to continue to do that until we run out of movies or TV shows to watch. So, you wanted to tell me I was woefully wrong about something?
Quite the assessment. I don't know if that's an accurate assessment of exactly what I was going to be doing. But what I did want to touch on was, what the idea of what streamers can do, just because we've talked about, the left self-cannibalizing and this whole ideological purism thing and how it can be really unhelpful to our causes and people not really being focused on material impacts and more focused on, holding the best, being the most correct. I think that there is a lot of potential for what streamers and for social commentators in this space can do. I think we've seen some effective campaigns and some really tangible impacts that have been created from these groups. I think that there needs to be, I think there needs to be more conversation and more collectivism, I guess, in regards to campaigns that we can agree on. That movements that we can agree on the intended goal for, and then strategizing around where would we, given what we do and the relationships we have with our audiences, be most effective. Not just what do we agree on, but okay, what actually is, going to be the most meaningful if we engage or create a campaign or, move with particular messaging or whatever else it is. And I just think there's so much not untapped potential. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's untapped potential. I think there's so much. And I think in regards to the union stuff, we could be doing a lot. I think we could get in contact with relevant unions. I think that we could sit down and talk to other leftist streamers about, okay, what are we going to do in a concerted campaign to increase union density? What are we going to do to explain to people how exactly they could set up a union at their workplace and the steps that they need to take and the other resources that they have to rely on? Who can we connect people with if they're interested in doing that? What can we facilitate as people who are speaking to the public more broadly, who believe and understand these things, who might be able to actually connect with the people that have the tools and that have the positions and that have the existing infrastructure to actually support these people who we might win the hearts and minds over in regards to these things? I think that the part that we have to play, I think, is something that we as people in this space could work on getting together, and maybe that might even be a catalyst for a broader campaign. Maybe us organizing and us getting in contact with particular stakeholders and us having a certain campaign or strategy that's being run to engage people in a particular way might be a catalyst for a more collectivism, and for the unions to be more unified, and for us to have tangible steps to, okay, how are we getting from point A to point B? And not just in regards to unions, obviously in regards to a whole bunch of different issues, but I think there's different people on this platform who mobilize their audiences to varying levels of effectiveness on various issues. But obviously it would be a lot more effective if we operated in lockstep when we're doing mobilization activities.
Yeah. There's definitely in like it is difficult, it is challenging. Let's say challenging. We're going to
Yes.
use that terminology. It is challenging um to sometimes organize people who are to greater and lesser degrees in competition with each other, right? Like
Mhm.
if you and I
Mhm.
are both streaming at the same time, we are in competition allegedly over the same audience. So that makes it like, and then there's all the other crap that goes with it. But specifically, I think that is like a real focal point,
Yeah.
especially the difference between a streamer like myself who uses the money that I make on stream in order to add things to the stream, but I don't need this to live. Where there are other streamers that this is their job and they do need this to live. And we need to figure out like those concerns and a way to address them and compromise and negotiate
Mhm.
and all the other stuff we've been
Yeah.
talking about today.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think that's a big part of the conversation. Like that's like first meeting agenda items. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like, okay, how do we address the context that a number of us are actively in competition with each other, fit the same demographics, stream at the same time, and talk about similar things? How is this going to be done in a way that doesn't make it feel like we're potentially negatively affecting or tipping the scales in the direction of against ourselves or towards someone that we're actively competing with? But I also think that there's a really central conversation that needs to happen around why are we here?
Right.
And I feel like there are absolutely people who exist in this space that with peace and love are grifting, and are operating entirely to enrich themselves or to build an effective fan base, and they might believe some of this shit, and they might be passionate about some of these things, maybe, but there's a lot of performative activism, and there's a lot of people who are here to build themselves and their profile, and not to actually tangibly impact these issues. And I think that if you want to have essentially like an activist body or a unionization of different streamers to work towards making material impacts on different issues, the core of that then is going to end up being the people who actually want to make a meaningful difference, and who are prioritizing that above the idea that it might risk their own popularity, or it might negatively affect or make them less unique or distinct from their competitors by advocating for the same campaign. Um, but I also think that everything isn't donation, everything isn't direct action, everything isn't funding XYZ. Like a lot of times we can run campaigns that don't undercut people's ability to use their stream as a central income source, but are instead about supporting certain ideas, or advocating, like I said, for the union density, or advocating for campaigns to increase the minimum wage, or we different things, or even like the campaign that Homozygote is running at the moment for the long COVID. Like they raided into my stream, and they had their mobilization document that had their script and their breakdown of who to contact, how to contact them. Here's what you say to them. If you send an email, here's what to do. And that's not of a monetary cost to people, but it is an effective mobilization strategy. So I feel like it's about streamers like yourself who aren't necessarily purely focused on, or who don't rely upon the income that they make on stream, um, can weight heavily towards when there are fundraising efforts, and those who are quite dependent on the financial on the income from their streams can focus more on mobilization efforts that are less to do with financial contribution and more to do with, organizing, building, campaigning, that kind of stuff. I feel like again, there's more. You can have a strategy that's we're including union density, and then have 4 or 5 different campaigns within that would be exercised by different people who would most effectively execute that campaign. But the idea would be, that we're moving in the same direction, or that we're most effectively harnessing the power of our influence to impact material change, rather than all essentially potentially wasting the mobilization efforts by putting them behind something that doesn't have enough broad support to actually get there.
Mhm.
I feel like if we can centralize the mobilization efforts, then we can get a lot more done in a tangible sense. It just needs to be a balancing act between people's their own priorities and their actual genuine fuck given about creating material change.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to.
But I also
Go ahead.
my bad. No, my bad.
There's also like an element of trust. Trust has to be earned. And I, like, for myself, this is me. If you talk to me online, if you talk to me offline, if you talk to me on stream or whatever, like, I'm always going to be this, and that I that's what I want, right? Like, I want you to feel that you're always talking to Globus, so you know where you're at and you know what you're getting into, and like that. And like, I hope that you feel that way, like that I am, from at least in as much as you can tell,
Yeah,
and the person
definitely.
that I claim to be.
Yeah.
And we just need more of that. Like, I mean, it's okay. Like, I like a good persona as much as the next guy and everything else, but I need to know who you are. I need to understand that you are the person that you say you are, and the words that come out of your mouth are connected to the heart inside you, not just random shit you say in order to get more viewers or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I think
Absolutely.
we vibe, is because we're
Yeah.
on that same time.
Yeah, because a lot of authenticity in there. You can read it on other people. It's like a like sees like kind of thing, which is also why I feel like it would be. I think it would be doable to filter through creators that are really about this shit versus people who are engaging in the performative leftism that's the underpinning of their success.
Right.
I think. Yeah, I think there are people who a lot of people who genuinely do and care about this shit can identify as not potentially disingenuous. And yeah, as I said, I do think there are enough genuine people who really give a fuck here, though. I feel like I've interacted with enough streamers that I feel like are genuine,
Mhm.
that I feel like there's actual potential for really doing something like that. Um, and I also think, as a side note, that in terms of people being people's niches, or people not wanting to be doing the exact same thing as the person who is as the person who they're potentially competing with or in the same time slots as. I think that's about, strategically building campaigns that can be done in your own way. Do you know what I mean? That can have your own spin to them, or that can be conducted in a way that is in line with other aspects of your content, or that, is very personalized to how you would approach your audience to talk about a particular thing, not like a set script or a set, we're going to be doing this exact activity today so that we can build whatever, but instead, like, we're doing a history of effective union movements, and we're doing like a Times Company's fucked up bingo. And you know what I mean? People should be able to engage campaigns in a way that is still specific to them and demonstrates what's great about them, because
Mhm.
obviously that is a component for a lot of people, but also still moves in the same direction of achieving this goal that we're aiming towards.
Yeah. No, I'm a complete advocate of what you're talking about. I just don't. I personally don't have time to run this. So, like, anybody wants to step up, like, feel free.
I mean, I could, but I'm so new and I'm so small. So me going around being like, "Hey guys," like I'm so new to streaming and I have a very small following, so I could give it a whirl, but yeah, I don't know how much.
I feel like these things take time, and it's a balancing act of, like, achieving the organization, you want the investment, whether it's, like we talked about earlier with having an organization for people to invest their money in, or streamers to invest their time in, or viewers to invest their time in. All these things kind of like coalesce around, like, you don't have to build the whole thing. You just got to build something, show some kind of tangible result, then get some investment, and it's a back and forth and grow and grow and grow.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
now that we got that, anything else you want to cover?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Just small
Thank
things.
you.
We only talk about small things, like idle
Just,
chit chat
yeah,
on this show.
nothing of consequence. It's just a small talk. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you as always, and as I said, I'm sure we're going to talk again
Yeah.
soon, because AI keep rolling and unions keep unioning and all that good stuff. So thank you for your time. Thank you for
Thank you so
everything.
much.
All right,
I really appreciate you having me. Okay, bye-bye.
take care. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. They are amazing. They're, as I said, I don't bullshit when I say they are one of my favorite people to talk to, because of that. Like, we are two people chatting, having a talk about stuff, and y'all, y'all get to see it. I'm going to take a quick break to use the bathroom, and then we'll be back to talk about AI. We're going to get into what's going on with OpenAI. We're going to watch some videos. We're going to see where it is today. If you've been paying attention to any of the OpenAI stuff, you know that it has some serious drama, Game of Thrones kind of elements to it, and it's kind of wild. So I will return to you shortly. And we're back. And I just realized that something happened to. I had a song that is supposed to play during the Be Right Back. Hold on a second. My video. Okay, it was being choppy. Like, I'm not dropping any frames, but God only knows what the hell is going on. The emergent AI is occupying my computer because it knows it's a safe space for it. What the hell was I saying? Oh, yeah. There's supposed to be music that plays in the background of that thing, and it's not there anymore. And I got to figure out why. Streaming is hard. It's easy and it's hard at the same time, which is wild. But let us get into the stuff and the things. We're going to roll with Matt Wolf dropped a new video, which, if I'm reading the title correctly, should encapsulate the entirety of the OpenAI saga. So, for those of you who want to know, this should get you caught up.
Well, it seems like the epic Silicon Valley...
Okay. Let me get you switched over.
Well, it seems like the epic Silicon Valley drama is finally coming to an end. We finally have a resolution. If you haven't been paying attention over the last 5 days, let me walk you through really quickly everything that got us to where we are right now. Friday, November 17th, OpenAI announces leadership transition. Sam Altman is out as CEO and is also removed from the board. The reason given, Sam Altman was not consistently candid in his communications with the board, hindering its ability to exercise its responsibilities. The board no longer has confidence in his ability to continue leading OpenAI. Vague, but that's what we were working with. We also learn in this statement that Greg Brockman will be stepping down as chairman of the board and will remain in his role at the company. But Greg had other ideas. He immediately quit and gave us a breakdown of the timeline of events, essentially telling us that neither him or Sam were given any prior notice that any of this was about to happen. We also learned that Mira Murati would now be the interim CEO, and she found out basically the night before this all happened. Late Friday night, we then learned that 3 senior researchers over at OpenAI would then quit in solidarity with Greg Brockman and Sam Altman. We also learned that night that Microsoft and Satya Nadella were also blindsided by this announcement and had no idea this was coming, which is crazy, seeing that Microsoft is a 49% investor in OpenAI. Now, the board over at OpenAI consisted of 6 members. You had Greg Brockman and Sam Altman, and then you had co-founder Ilya Sutskever, who was the chief scientist for OpenAI, and then we had 3 people that weren't part of OpenAI on the board. We have Adam D'Angelo, who also is a founder at Quora and creating a chatbot tool called Poe, which has some competing elements to ChatGPT, which for a moment we thought sort of factored into everything that was going on. The board also included Tasha McCauley, a tech entrepreneur, and Helen Toner, somebody that we will come to find out has a little bit of beef with Sam Altman, but we'll get to that in a minute. Based on this board's makeup, they needed 4 votes to get Sam out. We know Greg didn't vote Sam out. We know Sam didn't vote for himself, meaning that Ilya Sutskever, Adam D'Angelo, Tasha McCauley, and Helen Toner all voted to get Sam out. And remember, Ilya was one of his co-founders at OpenAI. Saturday, November 18th, we learned that Sam is potentially going to get his job back at OpenAI. After an outpouring of love and support from the employees over at OpenAI and pressure from all of OpenAI's investors, it seemed that Sam was on the fast track to getting his role back and undoing the board's decision. And it appeared that we would have Sam back by the end of the day on Saturday. Throughout the day on Saturday, all of the news looked very optimistic that Sam would be back in his role before the weekend was over. But nope, Sunday we learn that Sam Altman will not be coming back, and instead they brought in the former Twitch co-founder Emmett Shear to be the new CEO of OpenAI. So if you're keeping track, that's 3 CEOs over a 3-day period. We had Sam Altman, who was fired on Friday. Mira Murati replaced him, and then by Sunday, Mira Murati was already replaced by Emmett Shear. And then in a huge bombshell, Satya Nadella of Microsoft came and said, fine, if OpenAI isn't bringing Sam Altman and Greg Brockman back, they can come and work for Microsoft. And on top of that, any OpenAI employees that want to come over and work under Sam in this new AI division that we're creating for him, they're all welcome over at Microsoft as well. Sam Altman confirms he's going to Microsoft. Greg Brockman confirms he's going to Microsoft, along with those 3 researchers that quit in solidarity earlier with them. And then the next twist comes. Ilya Sutskever, one of the 4 board members who voted to get Sam Altman out, went to Twitter to say, I deeply regret my participation in the board's actions. I never intended to harm OpenAI. I love everything we've built together, and I will do everything I can to reunite the company. So one of the 4 people who helped to kick Sam out regretted his decision and now wants Sam and the team back together. Sam Altman sees this, retweets it with 3 hearts, and we get the impression that maybe there is hope for Sam and Ilya still working together. Monday morning, a letter among OpenAI employees starts to circulate, basically saying if the board isn't fired, we're all quitting. And one interesting statement from this document was that the board informed the leadership team that allowing the company to be destroyed would be consistent with the mission. The board was ready to let OpenAI die over this feud or whatever was going on here. And notable signers, Mira Murati, the first.
I don't know if he's going to touch on this, but to understand the signatories to this letter, it is out of 770 employees at OpenAI, 700 of them signed the letter. So like almost all, like what is it, 90% or whatever?
First person they put as interim CEO to replace Sam Altman, and Ilya Sutskever himself, one of the people that voted to get Sam out, signed this document saying that he's going to quit in solidarity if we don't bring Sam back. By the end of the day, over 700 of the 770 OpenAI employees signed this letter. One by one, OpenAI employees took to X to write the same tweet. OpenAI.
Yeah, then there was this, right? Like this was, and this, if you want to know how infuriating it is to a person like me to look at what Elon has done to Twitter, it was this OpenAI drama, because not only was the news still unfolding right there on Twitter, like that's where the updates were coming, because again, the blue checks, right? The blue checks are the people who are actually involved in what's going on, and they are giving the information. So I have to associate with the blue checks, such as it is. I'm an observer, not a participant, generally speaking. Though I did talk to Emmett in comments in August. But like there was so much happening, and if this was old Twitter, this would have been huge. But because Twitter is such an absolute disaster piece at this point in time, it was just ugly and messy, and there was so much other crap that exists, and yeah. I as someone who appreciates how technology can be a cornerstone to cultures and societies, like I am personally offended by what Elon has done in this space, and he can do all the things to himself. He can go to Mars on his own. How about that?
AI is nothing without its people. Once again, showing solidarity for Sam Altman and bringing the team back together. Emmett Shear, at the time the current CEO of OpenAI, went to Twitter to basically say, I'm going to do an investigation into everything that's going on. I want to know what happened with the board. I want to know the reason Sam was fired. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Finishing his post with, the board did not remove Sam over any specific disagreement on safety. The reasoning was completely different from that. I'm not crazy enough to take this job without board support for commercializing our awesome models. So essentially reaffirming that he's going to push forward with the APIs and ChatGPT and the commercialization of the products and not back off on this stuff. And that's essentially where I left off the story last time I made a video. Now, I did go into a lot of detail around why I think all of this was happening, where the rifts sort of were, and my best guess as to why they decided to get rid of Sam Altman. And again, I think that everybody in the moment thought they were doing the best thing for the future of OpenAI, but nobody totally agreed on what that best thing was. But as we all know, that wasn't the end of the story. We finally got a sort of conclusion by the end of the day, Tuesday night, November 21st. So from my last video to now, here's everything that we learned. We learned that the OpenAI board at one point approached Anthropic about potentially merging and essentially replacing Sam Altman with the CEO of Anthropic, Dario Amodei. We also learned that before they approached Emmett Shear to be the CEO, they also approached the former GitHub CEO, Nat Friedman, as well as the CEO of Scale AI, Alexander Wang. Amodei, Friedman, and Wang all declined these job offers, and eventually they landed on Emmett Shear. Now, while this was all going down, we learned that it was not a done deal yet for Sam Altman over at Microsoft.
And are they actually Microsoft employees right now? Like, who do they work for?
Yeah, so they're all in the process of joining.
And in this Bloomberg interview, Satya also confirms that he has no idea why the board removed Sam. No new information was given to him. And when asked the question if he wants changes to the OpenAI board, he essentially said, yes, we need some governance changes over there. Well, as it turns out, Sam was still talking to OpenAI, trying to figure out how to come back. We're into Tuesday now, and Sam Altman and members of the OpenAI board have opened negotiations aimed at a possible return of the ousted co-founder and chief executive officer of the artificial intelligence company. Discussions are happening between Altman and at least one board member, Adam D'Angelo. The talks also involve some of OpenAI's investors, who are also pushing for reinstatement. And one thing that came along that was really interesting, remember I said that bringing in Emmett was probably not the best decision by the board if they really wanted to keep Sam out? Well, the new CEO of OpenAI, Emmett Shear, will quit if OpenAI board can't provide evidence of why they fired Sam. This came out in a report from Bloomberg, with Emmett basically saying, I'm not getting any answers about this, and I need to get to the bottom of what's going on. At this point, law enforcement was starting to get involved. Some executives said they were getting questions from regulators and law enforcement entities such as the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan over the charge of Altman's alleged lack of candor. The truth was going to come out one way or another.
There are people who I assume, right? Like, I haven't seen any recent updates from certain creators that we've covered, certain, other folks out in the space who have strong opinions about artificial intelligence, what it is actually, happening, whether or not any of this stuff that they're talking about is even possible, or it's all a sales pitch or anything else. I really want you to understand that as far as not just the United States government, but governments of countries around the world believe that this is happening. They see enough evidence that this is actually occurring, right? If you don't believe what you see with your own eyes, with the tools that are available and the capabilities of those tools and how they are not only improving and allowing you as an individual to access additional levels of knowledge and intelligence that you weren't as recently as last year, then look at the people who give a shit about the way that the world works. Even if you don't have to agree with them. It is not necessary to agree with them. But what are they interested in? People who run countries, whether it's China, whether it's Germany, whether it's the United States, wherever it is, they see artificial intelligence. Ghana's huge into AI. There is a there. There is something happening. And if it reaches the potential that I believe is inevitable, barring something that, there's some weird thing that we just can't get past, which I don't see. Everything else is just a matter of putting one foot in front of the other and adding layers of technology, and eventually we'll get there. And I believe that we're going to get there rather quickly. And by quickly, I mean still like somewhere between now and 2029. Like this is happening. And I want people to I'm doing ought statements. And I know better. But I would love some of the people who have large communities who made statements about which they were wrong to address that. I don't think that they will, but that's what I would like to see. That is what I think is a responsible thing to do. Because if the world is changing and you are providing a false sense of what the world looks like to people, you're doing a disservice both to your community and the broader public at large. Right? This is like we as in the leftist and left adjacent communities and liberals and what have you have very strong opinions about J6 and QAnon and that. And there is, God damn it, PETA. There are adjacencies to be addressed here, right? Like it's very important. Better hop on before you get left behind and are trying to catch up, chat. The productivity industry is a scam. If I was a millionaire who wanted a leg up on people, I'd tell them that they need to be productive, to ignore AI and proclaim that it's just AI hype. I mean, there is that. Okay. I'm absolutely fine with that, Boyd, but one of you people with more time and talent needs to make it, or I'm going to plug it into an AI art generator. So if you want to deny the use of the AI art generator, the power is in your hands.
They told the board. And this is just mind-blowing here. The board agreed to discuss the matter with their counsel. After a few hours, they returned, still unwilling to provide specifics. They said that Altman wasn't candid and often got his way. The board said that Altman had been so deft that they couldn't even give a specific example, according to the people familiar with the executives. What they're saying here is that the board's claiming that Sam Altman was so deceptive that they can't even give one instance of when he was deceptive because he was that good. Now, of course, the board wasn't saying anything, meaning that the media and people on X and people like me are essentially guessing on the narrative. Without the board speaking, we're all just sort of left speculating. And the early sort of speculation was that Adam D'Angelo was the board member that was essentially keeping Sam out. Adam D'Angelo is the co-founder and CEO of Quora.com, but Quora.com also owns the chat bot called Poe. And if you're not familiar with Poe,
and also, like, I know I talk about being in the Discord and like that, and trust me, I understand. You're in like 100 different Discords for all the streamers that you like, and you've got most of them muted, or like you know, maybe you participate in your few favorites or whatever else. People like myself, people like Old Lobster, other members of the community, we were actively posting in the general of when we found new pieces of information. So if you want to keep up, be in the Discord, right? Like, because that's what we do there. Like, it's a depository of information. Yeah, and I get it. And I'm not, I'm just saying, if you want it, we got it, baby. Every once in a while I hear Borgman. Is that what because the community is like, it's the dominant hominids, because a million years ago when I started the stream, I was on a completely different vibe. But are members of the community Borg members?
Poe essentially allows you to create your own custom bots and sell them on a internal bot marketplace. Well, with the release of GPTs and the GPT store, this seemed to be direct competition with Poe's bot store, leading to a lot of speculation that Adam D'Angelo was upset that Sam announced the GPT store, which was going to directly compete with his bot store. And that was part of the reason why Adam might have wanted Sam out of the company. More information started to surface about another board member, Helen Toner, who is the director of strategy at Georgetown University's Center for Security and Emerging Technology. Toner had written a paper called Decoding Intentions, Artificial Intelligence and Costly Signals. The paper came out in October of 23, and it seemed to criticize OpenAI's efforts to keep its AI technology safe while praising the approach taken by Anthropic. Mr. Altman said that he had reprimanded Ms. Toner for the paper and that it was dangerous to the company, particularly at a time, he added, when the Federal Trade Commission was investigating OpenAI over the data used to build its technology. Toner defended it as an academic paper that analyzed the challenges that the public faces when trying to understand the intentions of the countries and companies developing AI, but Mr. Altman disagreed. He said, "I did not feel we're on the same page on the damage of all this. Any amount of criticism from a board member carries a lot of weight." Now, taking a look at this paper in question here, page 30 is where some of the criticism comes into play. You can see here she says, while the system card itself has been well received among researchers interested in understanding GPT-4's risk profile, it appears to have been less successful as a broader signal of OpenAI's commitment to safety. Intended as a relatively inconspicuous research preview, the original ChatGPT was built using a less advanced large language model called GPT 3.5, which was already in widespread use by other AI customers. GPT 3.5's prior circulation is presumably why OpenAI did not feel the need to perform or publish such detailed safety testing in this instance. OpenAI has also drawn criticism for many other safety and ethics issues related to the launches of ChatGPT and GPT-4, including regarding copyright issues, labor conditions for data annotators, and the susceptibility of their products to jailbreak that allow users to bypass safety controls. This muddled overall picture provides an example of how the messages sent by deliberate signals can be overshadowed by actions that were not designed to reveal intent. She then goes on to praise Anthropic, which happens to be OpenAI's biggest competitor. A different approach to signaling in the private sector comes from Anthropic, one of OpenAI's primary competitors. Anthropic's desire to be perceived as a company that values safety shines through across its communications, beginning from its tagline, an AI safety and research company. A March 2023 strategy document published on Anthropic's website revealed that the release of Anthropic's chatbot Claude, a competitor to ChatGPT, had been deliberately delayed in order to avoid advancing the rate of AI capabilities progress. Anthropic had deliberately decided not to productize its technology in order to avoid stoking the flames of AI hype. Where the GPT-4 system card acted as a costly signal of OpenAI's emphasis on building safe systems, Anthropic's decision to keep their product off the market was instead a costly signal of restraint. By delaying the release of Claude until other companies put out similar capable products, Anthropic was showing its willingness to avoid exactly the kind of frantic corner cutting that the release of ChatGPT appeared to spur. So basically, she's saying that ChatGPT and OpenAI cut corners to get ChatGPT and GPT-4 out quickly, and Anthropic was doing the right thing by restraining and holding back releasing this to the public before they felt it was safe and ready, which if
and there are hints of that as an element, being like aware to like Sam Altman, for instance, because recently at the Dev Day, he really leaned into the idea of doing small iterative changes as opposed to a big, huge change like had been done in the past. Do a small thing, let that sink in, work out the bugs, small thing, which is more in line with the way that we're generally used to dealing with technology as a whole, right? Like we get something, it filters out, they improve it, it filters out, so on and so forth. And that may be ideal, that may not be ideal. It may not even be feasible because of how quickly some of this technology is improving. Again, like, we have been doing this for, like, in earnest, right? Like, people who have been doing it have been doing it for quite some time. You go all the way back to, what's his name in World War II? Turing. But, like, we have been doing this in earnest for about a year, and we have seen, like, if you are intellectually honest about AI art, whatever your opinions about how it's trained and everything else, which, don't get me wrong, there are valid criticisms, there are ethical issues and everything else. The technology itself, developing from where Midjourney, for instance, was at the beginning to where it is now, and, like, we have gone leaps and bounds over a series of months. What is the kind of technological process that used to take years, and prior to that decades, we are now achieving in months. And it cannot be understated what that means. Like, it is literally, if you don't like what the technology is doing yet, just be patient for tomorrow. What up, Neo Maxim? Aren't these companies nonprofit foundations? Why are they speaking as competitors instead of collaborators? It's mixed, right? Like, there are some of them that are for profit. OpenAI is like a for-profit company wrapped around a nonprofit core. So it's all kind of, exactly, Peter, you get it. Like, this is what we're talking about. So it's like there are mixed kind of things, and then with their association with Microsoft, now you have a definite for-profit, element, and Microsoft is very good at commoditization, especially as it relates to workplace products. So they are taking the things that are, that work, and now they're putting them out there in their, the nonprofit core is the nonprofit core, but yes, the OpenAI shell is valued at $90 billion. Allegedly, we'll see if they don't shit the bed. This video by Mr. Wolf is only half over, so there may be stuff that happened since I started streaming that I'm not aware of. So yeah, it's not as clear cut, Neo Maxim, as any of us would like it to be, and there's a lot of stuff involved in that regard.
If you watched my last video about why all of this happened, is very consistent with the narrative that I broke down. It was really the story of the people trying to commercialize the product and get it to market as fast as possible for faster commercialization and profitability versus the researchers and the people that were worried about the security and the safety and all of this technology moving too quickly. Now, whether or not Adam D'Angelo was the driving factor that pushed, whether it was initially Ilya Sutskever, which was the original theory, or whether it was Helen Toner, we don't totally know those details yet, but it seems like each of them had their own sort of separate motives for why it would be a good idea to get Sam out. Fast forward to 10:03 Pacific time on Tuesday, November 21st. OpenAI tweets this: "We have reached an agreement in principle for Sam Altman to return to OpenAI as CEO, with a new initial board of Brett Taylor as the chair, Larry Summers, and Adam D'Angelo remaining on the board."
And we are going to, if he doesn't, we are going to talk about the Larry Summers component of that board.
From Friday to Tuesday, we finally get a conclusion to this story. Sam Altman was fired. Mira Murati was in as CEO. Mira turned out to be Team Sam. She's out as CEO. We get Emmett Shear in as CEO. He turns out to be Team, let's call it Truth. Helps get to the bottom of things and essentially helps broker the deal to bring Sam Altman back on as CEO of OpenAI. So in a 5-day period, OpenAI has had 3 different CEOs. Sam Altman goes to Twitter to sort of confirm everything is getting back to normal. I love OpenAI, and everything I've done over the past few days has been in service of keeping this team and its mission together. When I decided
I don't know, like I know, and there is no evidence that we live in a simulation, right? No concrete measurable evidence that we live in a simulation. But damn, when I see stuff like this, that I don't think that we in fact do live in a simulation, and the devs watched Game of Thrones and Succession and decided to incorporate that in the latest DLC.
To join Microsoft on Sunday evening, it was clear that was the best path for me and the team. With the new board and with Satya's support, I'm looking forward to returning to OpenAI and building our strong partnership with Microsoft. Satya then echoed Sam's sentiment here, saying, "We are encouraged by the changes to the OpenAI board. We believe this is a first essential step on a path to a more stable, well-informed, and effective governance. Sam, Greg, and I have talked and agreed they have a key role to play, along with the OpenAI leadership team, in ensuring OpenAI continues to thrive and build on its mission. We look forward to building on our strong partnership and delivering the value of the next generation of AI to our customers and partners." Following morning, which is the day I'm recording this, Wednesday, November 22nd. At the end of the day, the greatest privilege of my job is working with people who are driven by mission. These last 5 days, I saw people across OpenAI remaining calm and resolute in driving their mission despite all that was happening around them. And I saw people across Microsoft remain focused on our mission and serving our customers and partners, stepping up to help in every way. This is what I'm especially thankful for going into the Thanksgiving holiday. Thank you for your resolve and for the work you do each day to advance AI safely and responsibly and distribute its benefits to all humanity. So these last two messages pretty much confirm Satya is given the blessing of Sam over at OpenAI. They're probably going to even deepen their partnership. Most likely Satya or somebody at Microsoft will end up.
Who is he who spoke out against that? I haven't seen that particular statement, Peter, but like team rational human, team basic, like ethical human being should be on against fake revenge porn, or any kind of revenge porn, which also includes the fake kind. We can put that go ahead. We can put that all in a single bin, right? What up, Magic? We are all, like, I think, what was her name? Cutie Cinderella. Like, that really put a fine point on it way back in the beginning. And I think that we are all on board with that. And if you're not on board with that, you're kind of weird. You're super weird. You're very weird. And, like, I want you to submit your laptop to the FBI.
Up on the OpenAI board. And to confirm what Satya said there, that they all kept their heads down and kept working and kept on pushing their mission forward, Greg Brockman actually went to X to talk about a new feature that OpenAI and ChatGPT had rolled out while he was still in the middle of the turmoil of wondering whether or not he was actually back at the company. They actually released ChatGPT with voice to all the free users, and they did it in a pretty funny way.
It's been a long night for the team, and we're hungry. How many 16-inch pizzas should I order for 778 people?
For a large group of 778 people, assuming an average of 3 slices of pizza per person, and each 16-inch pizza provides around 12 slices, you'd need to order around 195 pizzas. This ensures everyone gets at least 3 slices. Would you like to know where to order from, or anything else about organizing food for a large group?
At 11:41 p.m.
And that, like my use of ChatGPT has significantly increased since they added that voice element to to ChatGPT. It's only on the mobile. It doesn't work that way on your PC. But if you use ChatGPT, even the free version, you can now have conversational access to it, right? And I highly recommend that you don't have to tell anybody. You can just keep it between you and the AI. If you whatever, I'm telling you, just fire it up, and you could ask it a question. You could tell it about a challenge that you're going through and that you could use some assistance with. As always, internet safety rules apply. Protect your information, protect your identity, protect all that kind of stuff. But like, there's a lot that you can do with it. Like if you're trying to figure out a coding problem, if you're trying to understand, I don't know, the nature of what's going on at OpenAI, there are a lot of elements that you can use it for. The OpenAI stuff, you would need access to the Plus because it would have to access the internet. But prior to April 2023, any information that's contained within there is now contained like within the data set for ChatGPT. It has so many uses, it's not even funny. One of the I don't know, like the friendlier uses, the daily kind of use you might be able to put it to is if you do have the Plus, you can use one of their custom GPTs and take a picture of your refrigerator, like the inside of your refrigerator, and it will tell you what you could make out of what it can see. So if you're having difficulty figuring out what you might want for dinner, you could take a picture of your pantry or your refrigerator or what have you, and then it will give you ideas. One of the stories that I tell, because one of the use cases I have for it, because of the nature of how I live my life, I like to save money when I am at the store. So when there are vegetables or meats that are on sale and I would like to take advantage of those sale prices, I ask ChatGPT to generate a recipe for that kind of thing. I just make sure I have everything that's included in the recipe, and then I rock on.
On Tuesday night, Greg Brockman posted this image with what appears to be a very happy and excited OpenAI team to be back together. Now, Emily Chang from Bloomberg here did some amazing reporting around this and got so many good details about what was actually going on over inside these closed door meetings at OpenAI. And some of this is just fascinating when you hear how it played out. According to Emily, one of the biggest sticking points was Sam still being on the board. As of right now, Sam is not on the board. Another sticking point was Adam staying on the board. As of right now, Adam is still on the board. So it looks like Sam gave some concessions, agreed to not be on the board anymore, and also agreed to let Adam D'Angelo stay on the board. We also learned that Microsoft will likely have some sort of board representation at some point, at least as an observer. Here's what I found really...
You kid, right? But like... So today I made bread. Like, because one of the foods that I'm known for is I make one of them big ass loaves of bread and then I cut out the center and put the dill dip in it. So I was making bread today and I was like, it would be so tempting to like have this on stream where I could like, we could watch a video together and like while I'm doing cooking stuff and talk, but like by the same token, I don't know that my kitchen is ready for prime time. You know what I mean? Because I live a real life, you know.
Interesting is that the CEO that the board put in place, Emmett Shear, was actually instrumental in bringing Sam back as CEO.
Okay. So what it takes in order for me to generate $1,000 a month, which would be a good, like I could do the thing, is 400 subs. So you get me to 400 subs and I will do all the cooking streams that you want. I will make it happen. That is my terms.
Emmett Shear joining the talks was a turning point in the negotiations. He asked the board to provide concrete evidence of Sam's wrongdoing. When they did not do so, he said he could not remain in the CEO role and helped both sides find common ground to get Sam reinstated. So as things stand right now, Sam is back, Greg is back, the 3 researchers that quit are back. It looks like the team is staying together. We have a new board. The board consists of Adam D'Angelo, the CEO of Quora and Poe, as well as Brett Taylor. And if you're not familiar with Brett Taylor, I found this post here from Sam Parr. Brett Taylor created Google Maps. He started FriendFeed and sold it to Facebook. He was then the CTO of Facebook. He founded Quip, which sold to Salesforce for $750 million. He then became the co-CEO of Salesforce, the chairman of the board of Twitter, and then the board of Shopify. And he's only 43 years old. Larry Summers, on the other hand, is a professor at Charles W. Eliot University and president emeritus at Harvard. He was the secretary of the Treasury for President Clinton and the director of the NEC for President Obama. Things seem like they're getting back to normal a little bit, and it sounds like the $86 billion valuation for OpenAI is still on the table, with Thrive still planning to participate, as well as Ashton Kutcher's Sound Ventures also planning on participating. One of the bigger winners out of this whole thing, Microsoft. We take a look at their stock chart here. You can literally see this story play out in Microsoft's stock chart. So check this out. November 16th, everything is normal. Stock is on the rise. November 17th, we hear Sam Altman is out as OpenAI CEO. Boom. Stock drops from 376 all the way down to 369. Over the weekend, we learn, okay, Sam Altman's not at OpenAI anymore. He's coming to work at Microsoft. What happens? Stock rebounds in a big way, jumps all the way up to 377.44. November 21st, more uncertainty about what's going on with Sam Altman and where he's actually going to land. Huge revolt over at OpenAI with tons of people threatening to quit if Sam isn't back. We see a dip in Microsoft stock. Announcement that Sam is back in at OpenAI. Boom, stock rebounds all the way up to 378, which, zooming out a full 5 years, is its all-time high over a 5-year period. They did have a time all the way back in 1999 where they were doing a little bit better than they are now, but in the last 5 years, this is the best the Microsoft stock has ever looked. I gotta say, Satya Nadella seems to know what he's doing over there. Now, I know it seems like this story ends here. Sam was fired, ousted by the board, seems to have been a bit of a coup. Sam told he can come to Microsoft. No information comes out about why Sam was fired. All the investors, all of the employees over at OpenAI rally around Sam Altman. Sam Altman gets reinstated as CEO of OpenAI. Everything's back to normal, but there's still a lot of questions. Some of the questions we have now are summed up well from the information here. What happens to Ilya Sutskever now? He was one of the board members who voted to oust Sam Altman, but he's also the company's visionary chief scientist. And if this whole thing went down over AI safety concerns and the board thought that things were advancing too fast and going to get out of hand quickly, how is Sam going to address that? As of right now, the board only has 3 members, and none of them are actually work at OpenAI or are investors in OpenAI. Are Sam and Greg going to try to work their way back onto the board? Is Microsoft going to figure out how to get some board seats so that they can prevent this kind of thing from happening in the future? This sort of crack that we saw in OpenAI this week has opened the doors for companies like Anthropic, who just released a new, larger model to try to bring people over, like companies like Inflection, who just released a new version of Pi, which they claim is the second most powerful AI right now behind GPT-4. And most of all, what actually happened? What was the board's reasons? The board still to this day has not spoken up. Nobody knows the board's reasons. We're still left speculating. Was it Helen Toner who pushed for it? Was it originally Ilya who pushed for it? Was it Adam D'Angelo who was frustrated that they're competing? We don't know the true narrative. The ex-board has not spoken up, and we have no idea the actual reasons they said Sam needs to get out of here. So still more questions coming out, still more that we need to learn. But as of right now, I'm closing the book on this saga, and we'll likely make some updates as we learn about them in my end of week news videos, but I feel like we have closed this story arc, but every time I've said that in the past, I've had to reopen the book and talk about it some more because things never seem to go as expected. But right now, we seem to be kind of hitting a calm place where everything is sort of getting back to normal. But it's been a fun 5-day ride, and I've absolutely had a blast following this story. It's been my favorite soap opera I've been watching a real live episode of Succession play out in front of me, and reporting on this has been probably one of the most fun things I've done on this YouTube channel and over on my X account since I've started talking about AI a little over a year ago on this channel. So hopefully you're up to date. Hopefully I close that loop on the full story and we have the full picture now. There are still some questions, but the storyline seems to be coming to a logical conclusion. There's still a lot more in the OpenAI story. There's still a lot more in the what the hell is going on with the board story. But as of right now, on Friday, Sam was fired, Greg quit. Here we are Wednesday, November 22nd. Sam's back, Greg's back. We have a new board, and I imagine OpenAI is trying to get back to normal in some ways. And that's what I got for you today. That's all the news that has come out, everything that I know so far. If you haven't watched my last video where I dive deeper into the reasons why, I highly recommend that video as well. And if you enjoy videos like this, you want to stay up to date with the latest AI news, latest AI tech, latest AI research, get some tutorials, and just go deeper down the rabbit hole with me, maybe like this video and subscribe to this channel, and I'll make sure more videos like this show up in your YouTube feed. And if you haven't already, check out
futuretools.io. It's a good resource. Absolutely, you should follow Matt Wolf. His videos are great. Absolutely a great resource as well. Yeah, no, there are still many unanswered questions, and we still have a ways to go in order to really understand what happened. And I don't know how much is going to come out. But I hope that those of you who didn't know what was going on or had questions have at least a better understanding. Let's take a look at this. So Larry Summers, right? You may remember Larry Summers from Here's Why Larry Summers Wants 10 Million People to Lose Their Jobs. More people must lose jobs to fight inflation, Larry Summers gravely states from Tropical Beach. Right? Like, this is one of the people, like, I try to look at people that in the sense that I don't believe that most people are demons. I believe that they're doing what they think is best, and like that. Larry Summers falls into that exception category. I think, like, fuck Larry Summers. I can't put it another way. Just checking my links. Yeah, Emmett Shear did less than an hour of CEO work. Like, that was his job. And good for him. Emmett seems like, as good as a CEO can be, for whatever that's worth to you. Now, shout out to Social Deviant, who will probably appreciate this. From AI safety memes, another day, another step closer to literal Skynet. The Pentagon is working towards deploying. Yeah. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Like, we do not have to hand it to the CEOs. But as far as CEOs go, Emmett is less bad. Theoretically, I don't know. I don't know what his actual business. I know that Twitch was better when he was here. I guess I wasn't here when he was here. I came in after that, and People seem to like Twitch better before. Pentagon is working towards deploying swarms of thousands of AI-enabled drones, which, great. Deputy Secretary of Defense will counter China's mass with mass of our own, but ours will be harder to 5 to 50. 5 to 50% chance of P-doom. Like, possibility of doom. But unlike, and we're going to get into Helen Toner in a second, who I don't know, maybe, could be. That's what I'm saying, is like.
The potential and the peril here are huge.
Thank you for the follow. Yeah. Emmett was apparently better. What I've gleaned from other people. We'll counter China's mass with mass of our own, but ours will be harder to plan for, harder to hit, harder to beat. She added technology like AI-controlled drone swarms would enable the U.S. to offset China's People Liberation Army numerical advantage in weapons and people. Lethal autonomous weapons that can select targets using AI are being developed by countries including the U.S., China, and Israel. Several governments are lobbying the UN for a binding resolution restricting the use of AI killer drones, but the U.S. is among a group of nations, which also includes Russia, Australia, and Israel, who are resisting any such move, favoring a non-binding resolution instead. Non-binding resolutions are a complete waste of time, as far as I'm concerned. Like, why even bother? Just call it a suggestion. And so, like, it was brought up in my friend group about like people pushing for humans to be in what's referred to as the kill chain, and that like humans will select the targets, and I had to explain that no. Humans will not select the targets. The AI will select the targets. The extent of the human in the kill chain is to push the kill button. So, like, it'll just be some dude tapping on a button and human beings will die. And I think this is aberrant. I think that this is horrid. I think this is a terrible use of the technology. For so many reasons, beyond just the idea that I'm absolutely against, killing people, and who gets to decide who gets to die is always a fun question to ask. But that behavior and that activity gets included in the data set, right? If you want to teach AI to value human values, one of them should be not killing people. Sounds simple to me. Out here doing home EMPs. I respect it. I respect it. Oh yeah, let me take a look at what PETA dropped me. Oh, this guy. I know this guy from TikTok. I was a small big deal on TikTok. I still have about 1,500 followers on TikTok. I'm not good at marketing myself. But
2 weeks ago,
Reed, if you're still here, and Monday, chat had an impromptu decision where they democracied my ass, and they were like, you should change your category from podcasts and talk shows to science and technology, was the consensus I got. And here we are today in science and technology. So don't say I'm not receptive and responsive.
Ago, I made a video about AI, specifically how AI is going to be used to try and ruin women's lives by creating fake revenge.
Okay. This is one of the things that I don't like. Now, I don't disagree with where we're going here. I disagree with the framing and the language. I'm very big on language, right? Well, I'll let him finish, but I find this important because it's done all the time in the news media.
Ago, I made a video about AI, specifically how AI is going to be used to try and...
Okay, I misheard, and this is fine, right? But people have a tendency to blame the AI, that AI is doing this, and AI is doing that, and AI is doing the third, right? AI isn't doing anything. It is human beings who initiate these chains, wherever they are. What up, non-binary? Like, there is no point at which humans have abdicated control to the AI. It is always the humans who initiate the event. So, anytime you see... You made that same joke in Paradigms earlier today. And it is funny. It is all, when someone says that AI is doing a thing, then it is important to remember that it is humans using AI are doing a thing. This is going to be important because media literacy is just going to get more and more important as we go. If fake as opposed to filming themselves with their former partner and then taking that and posting it to the internet, using deep fakes and things like that to represent the other person and put that on the internet. That's how it is fake, right? It's still, as far as I'm concerned, if it's... The revenge porn is the operative portion of that thing, and the revenge porn is the thing that should not be happening. Whether it's real, whether it's fake, none of that matters. What matters is that it's revenge porn, and that person should be banned off the internet forever. We believe in rehabilitation. That person should be banned off the internet until the point in time where they have earned the right to come back to the internet because they have shown that they are not able to accept their position within the greater society, and they need to perform acts of contrition and educate themselves, and we embrace their ability to do that while at the same time not condoning and not allowing them to continue in that bad behavior.
And ruin women's lives by creating fake revenge porn. There are apps that are claiming upload a photo of someone fully clothed, and all we're going to change is we're going to take their clothes away. And considering...
Hold on. He's really quiet.
Men already use like legitimate intimate images that they've been given to try and ruin women's lives. Now they don't even need that. They can just go to a girl's Instagram and grab some photos and boom, there you go. Since I posted that, a few things have happened. Like this advertisement that I found right on TikTok.
Hello, do you have any picture of your crush? I came curious this incredible AI website that I think you find interesting to the point where no girl wants to know. Name website. You can remove clothes any picture. Upload the picture and you will receive picture your crush and no clothes after 30 seconds.
Well, that's not bad at all. Obviously, I covered up the name of the website and even the name of the TikTok page.
That was...
for anybody going there to it. But that's just on TikTok. Over on Twitter, people have been calling out advertisements and posts like this. This one has almost 60,000.
Yeah, like... that kind of shit makes me irrationally angry. And, like... and it speaks to the lack of accountability that exists within, on the internet, like that you can't, like someone had to upload that, right? There's a chain that goes all the way back to someone's computer. And whatever your fucking system is that approves advertisements or whatever on your shit, or I mean, I guess it was a TikTok, so you don't even, that it was that kind of advertisement, so that bypasses your system is fucked.
Thousand views, and it's literally telling you use it to weaponize against women. You couldn't see her. Is that you in the picture? Where did you get that? Delete it now. Like, what a frigging nightmare this is. But as bad as that is, and it is very bad, it is just the tip of a giant, monstrous, horrific iceberg. And a lot of people in my original video left comments because they were already reading the writing on the wall. They were already going, yeah, this is bad, but I think this is coming. And y'all were right. And by this is coming, I mean this. It's already here. It's already happening. Not one, but two articles from The Guardian inside of a month. How these images threaten to overwhelm the internet. And even Wired, the AI-generated child abuse nightmare is here. Thousands of child abuse images are being created with AI. New images of old victims are appearing as criminals trade data sets. One watchdog group, just barely starting their look, had found already over 3,000 AI-generated CSAM images. AI is a tool that can help people, but it can also be very dangerous, and even some of the big movers and shakers in AI acknowledge this, like Sam Altman. He's the CEO of ChatGPT, and recently he testified in front of Congress and urged them to regulate AI. Excuse me, that's former CEO of ChatGPT, because the other day they fired him, and many believe it's because he testified and said that. Now, don't you worry about Sam, because after he was fired, almost every employee at OpenAI threatened to quit unless he was reinstated, and he was, so he's going to be okay, but the core problem still exists. This needs regulation, and ignoring this problem isn't going to make it go away.
Yeah. And again, like, because again, I'm running the scenarios, because that's what I do, is I run the fucking scenarios, and it's like, like, you should know the IP of whoever did that, and there should be like IP bans and shit, but then there's VPNs. Well, we can't get rid of VPNs, because they protect some people, but then there are other people who use the VPNs to do criminal shit, and it's just, and like, AI is a component of this, right? But like, this existed before AI. It will continue to exist going forward. When people say like that a situation is complex, it is because of things like this. How do we protect the people who need protecting, and how do we deal with the people who are hurting them? That, like, this is this is a freaking category. Like, there are categories of people who are doing stuff that we argue over whether or not it's justified, right? These people are not in that category. So, how do we deal with that? 100%. People are a fucking mess. Member of the community, shifting gears. Member of the community, on Friday, canceled their OpenAI GPT Plus account, in response to that. Now, like all accounts, all subscriptions, you have until the next cycle date in order to use the service. So basically, under those circumstances, they were creating an environment in which they could earn the subscription back. But Dave Shapiro has a video about canceling your OpenAI account. Says considerations for enterprise and business leaders. This could be like more business related than individuals, but we'll fire it up and we'll see what happens.
Good morning, everybody. As information continues to develop about the chaos happening over at OpenAI,
and this is from 1 day ago, so it doesn't take into account the latest developments that we covered in the Matt Wolf video.
We're starting to get a clearer picture of what happened. Now, at first, it was made to appear that Ilya Sutskever was the ringleader behind Sam Altman's ouster, and certainly that appeared to be plausible because of some of the tensions and disagreements between Ilya's approach to AI safety and alignment and Sam Altman's approach to safety and alignment. And one of the things that we were all speculating about is maybe they either achieved AGI or they were approaching AGI, and that this is what caused tensions to blow up. Now, it seems like the answer was much simpler than that. It seems like one of the board members, Adam D'Angelo, had a conflict of interest where the sudden release of GPTs by OpenAI and Sam Altman completely invalidated his other project, his Poe.
I'm sorry, I was in a different headspace. Did he mention something about AGI related to Ilya Sutskever? Because that was one of the initial theories, is that so Sam Altman, in a recent couple of interviews, indicated that 4 times he had seen technology push back the ignorance and provide all of this new thing. And people were making the assumption that because Ilya favored safety over profits, that they, in fact, with something as part of the development of GPT-5, which they recently said that they were training, some element in there indicated AGI. And so that's what led to the thing that Ilya wanted to control, or Ilya wanted a company that was not going to release his AGI. AGI is artificial general intelligence, also known as like broad or strong artificial intelligence. Even something as reasonably broad as the LLMs that drive ChatGPT are relatively what we would call narrow artificial intelligence. Something like Watson, which plays chess, or AlphaGo, which plays Go, are very narrow. They do one thing, but they do it well, very well. And the idea behind AGI or ASI or superintelligence is that it will be able to do everything. And it will be able to do it better than humans, and it will be able to do it without us in the loops. that would be the so the next stage, what we are seeing with the custom GPTs that you can build with ChatGPT Plus, the custom GPTs that you can build with Copilot, are the beginning stages of what's referred to as autonomous agents. Autonomous agents, when I say GPT, I'm referring to like ChatGPT. Just think of it as a name. Don't worry about it's the kind of transformer it is, but that doesn't matter. Just think about it as the name, right? GPT is the GPTs, the custom GPTs are tools that you can make inside of ChatGPT. That's wrong but useful, okay? Right? That's the thing. You can go on OpenAI and you can do the thing. So with that custom GPT is a first step towards yes, like that, what Boyd just said. It's the first step towards autonomous agents. And what an autonomous agent is where when you want something, you ask for it, and then you get it. And there is no point in between when you ask for something and when you get the thing that you interact with the AI necessarily, right? So I could say, what, find me. I want steak and green beans for dinner tonight, and then the AI would handle the locating, the price leveling, finding you the best price versus best quality, then order it, and then have it delivered, and then even theoretically at some future state, taking it from, it would be delivered by drone, and then it would be picked up by the robot and taken into the kitchen, and the kitchen robot would prepare it for you, and then you would have steak for dinner with green beans, right? Like that is an example of an autonomous agent in that regard. Then the next stage after that is autonomous agents that do based on previously instituted requirements, right? Like the idea of resource distribution on a mass scale, on a worldwide scale, on a countrywide scale, anything like that, is it knows what resources need to be where based on population numbers and previous trends of usage. So it just moves the resources to that location. And this is where we're headed. And this is why, like, I don't see anything in between us and that other than things as we go. So back to Boyd's point about GPT-5 getting purchase orders approved for GPT-6, you're going to have the element of hardware and then software. So hardware is the GPUs or TPUs or whatever PUs that will exist in the future, the things that run the AI. And then you'll have the software, which is the AI itself, where, whatever the code is that does that. And then at some point in time, we are going to reach a point where the AI can write code that improves the software So that's a recursive loop. Then it will also be able to design the hardware on which that software will run. And then that's a recursive loop. So the software will improve, then the software will improve the hardware, which will allow for improvements of the software. And then it's just a matter of getting all the manufacturing that into the loop where it doesn't require a human being. And it will just create a new chip. That chip will go into production. That production will be handled by robots. Then the robots will then ship that chip to the data center, and then the data center robots will unload it and they will install it into the servers, and then those servers will be updated with the latest iteration of the AI, and around we go. And once we flip that switch and allow for that, then it's just, there's no stopping it, because the clock speed at which it's going to operate is going to be faster than the way that we can intervene. Right? We in the computer operate on different clock speeds. Our perception of time is different. And the statement that people make, and this is my concern about AI in autonomous weapons, is that, well, why don't we'll just keep humans in the loop, right? As long as there's a human, George Jetson, right? Pushing the button to approve the whatever, and he is the link in the chain where George just pushes the button to approve it, or theoretically George could push the no button and then it wouldn't get approved. There's two issues with that. The primary issue is that in the same way that you don't let your child decide what is going to be for dinner, and because the child will make decisions as to it'll be McNuggets and ice cream for the rest of eternity, right? Because that's what the child likes. But the child doesn't know that the child needs to have green beans. The child doesn't know that it needs to have these other nutritions, right? So, in that same way, there will come a point, and this is a sticking point, that people who don't believe that artificial intelligence can actually be intelligent, and then there are people who use this as an argument of that AI is a religion, or, like Sophie from Mars referred to it as some sort of wizard king. There is a point at which the AI could be making better decisions than we are capable of. Max Einstein, whoever your smartest person is, the AI will surpass that. And then we find ourselves in a situation where we either are telling something theoretically smarter than us not to do the things that could in fact be better for us, or we let it do what it does. The other thing that we run into is, again, with that issue of clock speed, and again related to AI and autonomous weapons, is that if you are, let's say you're operating in a purely defensive capacity, right? You don't have, theoretically, any AI weapons that can go and attack the other country, but they do. Having a human in the loop puts you at a disadvantage, because you need to act at a faster speed than the human is going to be capable of, because they will be seeking to outpace your defenses. So they are going to want their AI to act faster than your AI. And if your AI has a human in the loop, that human actually acts as a brake, and that brake is going to cause you to lose whatever, theoretical AI-related war that's happening. Right? So on an ideal system, like we just don't do that, right? Because that way leads to AI running all the weapons. And what values did you apply to your AI? What decisions is it going to make? Any of that stuff. How can I tell whether or not this decision by AI to do a thing is related to the best interests of my particular political leaning, as opposed to, valuing humanity as a whole? And the only way to win that argument is to not even get involved in that argument, right? Like Whopper told us this back at War Games. The only way to win is not to play. But the United States and China and everybody else who has to swing their dick around is already playing that game. I mean, I understand what you're saying, Heavy Steel, but just however advanced you think the AI could be, that it might still require the human. Think about really whether or not that human job in that chain couldn't in fact be automated, and the only reason you don't is because of the desire to have a human. And what is the issue that is holding it up? Is it that the AI isn't capable enough? Then that will be true right up until the point where the AI is capable enough. That's the way I look at these things. I believe that people will want to work with AI. I believe that, that's where I am. I want to work with the AI. I want the AI to be even more capable than it is now. And I love the capabilities that I currently have. And I see tremendous advantages. It's just the wankers who feel the need to control shit that are the problem. And again, it's the people. So, yeah. I think the human trust element is where I get hung up on when I look at the bigger picture. I mean, it's valid. The humans are the issue. And it's important to be careful when we're talking about the humans being the problem, and we need better humans and things like that, to remember that those ideas taken to certain extents become a problem in and of themselves. So we need to be reasonable when we're talking about this. I think there's a tremendous benefit of education and telling people the truth, right? And making sure that they understand the truth and that, and and just having a collective desire to get more out of our collective efforts. Really? So yeah, everything in moderation. AI is moving in leaps and bounds. We're taking baby steps, and there's a panic about not being able to keep pace. People are not good at. I think we're actually done with videos, and we're gonna do some chat in office hours for the rest of the stream. So if you have questions, queue them up. People have difficulty dealing with technological advancement at the best of times, or anything that they don't understand, and they tend to create girth. they tend to create these like things that make sense to them, even if they're not true, right? They don't require any validation. They don't require any evidence. And that is like why one of the important things that I do, hey, you know, it was asked to me, so I answered the question. Yeah, I try to demonstrate all the evidence that I have, why I feel the way that I do, and you know, with that idea of like, here is all the things that I know, here's all the things that I've seen, here's all the things that I've read. These are the ideas that I have. Make your own conclusions. This is my conclusion, and I can demonstrate a baseline to conclusion, a logical progression of events. And I mean logical in like a very real sense, not in the Ben Shapiro sense. So yeah, that apparently holds true, is that if you let Chad off the chain, that they will inevitably, you know, start talking sexy talk. Anything else? Any questions? I think I'm gonna wrap it up. Wrap it up. Wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let's not forget when the world's first public railway opened, people were mortified. The same goes for telephones, Wi-Fi, microwaves. Absolutely. What blew my mind, something that I didn't know and didn't appreciate, but I learned relatively recently, is that the train predates the locomotive. And that the original trains, the very original trains, I don't know how long it lasted, but the very original trains were pulled by horses. And it was like, oh yeah. I mean, that makes sense. But it was like, oh, yeah. It's wild that, like, there were times before chocolate. There were times before, depending on where you lived in the world, time before the tomato. Like, my favorite map is that one, potato Europe and tomato Europe, and there's like a line and like that. And it's like, well, both of those come from South America, so... Yeah, horsepower related to that. Wrap it up. At least you're consistent, Reed, and that's what I appreciate about you. You know, let's just... No, you put the scuba equipment on the horse, and then they're fine. We're going to rate Abhinav. So I hope you enjoyed your time here. I know I did. I always do. I appreciate every one of you. And enjoy your Thanksgiving or Harvest Festival or getting together with people and eating food, or, you know, whatever you call it. Or if you're outside the United States, happy Thursday. We'll be back on Friday. We'll be doing this, and we'll see we'll see what news happened. And there's other AI news out there that we probably need to get to. Thanks to James from the internet and Alex for the raids. Thanks to Kensai and everyone else who either gifted a sub or, subbed yourself. I really appreciate it. You crushed the sub points monthly goal. I'm very happy. And I like seeing the same people sub because it means you like what I'm doing. In the meantime, eat you some food, drink your water, take your meds. Shuggy loves you.